knowledge. Well, thank you, David Kirby. I appreciate you, brother. Let's see. Who else? I hope all is well. Thank you. Hey, Dr. Boyce. What's going on, Eric? Hello, Dr. Watkins. No, I couldn't finish. Hello, PG County woman. That's an interesting name. I like that. Moisture Watkins. Okay. That's what these beta males like to call me. I guess they're self-reflecting. There's nothing beta about me. I have achieved all of my goals. I married the girl of my dreams. I have more money than you. I have more education than you, and I'm stronger than you. So that probably means that you are just a little bit jealous. That's okay. Do you offer a real estate course? Yeah, in the Black Business School. If you go to, I think it's Black Money 105. Black Money 105 is our real estate program. So if you're interested in real estate, go to blackmoney105.com. What's up, Tierra, Lady Wilson, and Precious Lewis, and John Hunter? How you doing? I'm going to go back and forth here. Do you have UAV as stock? No, I do not. Do you know Dr. Shiva? No, I do not. Can you talk more about crypto? Yeah, I'm heavily invested in crypto because I think crypto is the future. I think a lot of money is going to be made in crypto. And I mentioned earlier today on the Black Financial Channel, the stock pick that I really like the most this week is General Electric. General Electric is what I like. Now, on Tuesday, we do class at 11 a.m. Eastern in the blackstockmarketprogram.com. You should give it a try. The first month is free, and you can have your money back if you don't feel like it's the best program you've ever done. We really are that serious about it, and we focus solely on Black wealth. Sir, can you speak on capital gains taxes? Yes. The reason that every Black person should be an investor is because investors pay lower taxes than workers do. Workers pay most of the taxes in America, and you don't want to be stuck in that box. If you get stuck in the worker box, what's going to happen is you're going to do all the work and make less money than the rich people do. Working is a terrible way to make your money. That's just true. Everything someone says that you don't like, you cuss them out and call them stupid. Fuck you, man. Fuck. No, actually, my rule is basic. If I think that you're making a legitimate point that should be heard, I will hear it. But if you just hear being immature and stupid, I ain't got time for that. One mistake people make is when you get out there and you become more public, people think that you're here for the whole community and that you're trying to convert people into another perspective. I'm not trying to talk you into anything if you don't want to be talked into it, right? Like if you want to, if you see something that I have or something that I know that can benefit you, then by all means, like, let's talk. I'll be glad to share what I know. It's just a point of view, but it is an educated perspective. But I'm not really here to argue with dumbasses. I know about the niggatry that's all throughout our community. And the niggatry is exactly, I fight niggerosity as much as I fight white supremacy, because niggerosity is nothing more than a manifestation of white supremacy. White people create the niggerosity to distract the intelligent Black people who want to move forward. And so some of the dysfunction that you see in your families, you got to understand that's the reason why you remain oppressed. Like, for example, when I got married, 99% of the people were really excited and happy about it. And then there were these people that had this weird thing where they were like very anti-stepdaddy, like almost like, I'm making fun of you because you're taking care of another guy's kids. And I'm like, wow, like, because I would ask all the fellas in here right now, how many of you grew up maybe playing sports, or how many guys in here had a single mother? Right? How many of you, all the guys in here, and I'm gonna get back to your questions. If I don't see your question, just put it in there in the chat. I'm gonna answer as many as I can. But how many guys, I'm talking to the guys, how many of you had a mother who you saw struggle and your daddy wasn't there? You don't know why. You were like me. Maybe you didn't have a father and it wasn't your fault. Your father just wasn't there. How many of you grew up in that space? Right? Okay. Now, how many of you also had a male figure step in? How many of you had an uncle that stepped in, a friend, a football coach, a mentor at the boys club step in and fill that daddy role for you? How many of you had a guy like that? We're lucky enough to have that. I had that. His name was Larry Watkins, and I honor him for that. Well, think about this. Imagine if that guy was stepping up because he knew that you needed love. He knew you needed support. He wanted to be there for you. Let's say that he did what my father did. You married your mother, right? And imagine if you had a man who's like, oh, you a simping old piece of shit. You taking care of that some kids and ain't yours. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Right? How would that have made you feel as a child? I mean, that would have made me feel like crap if my father had to endure, and he did endure that. My father went through that. My father went through it where there were people in his own family who treated me like a second-class citizen because I was not his real son. And my daddy was a fucking man. He is a man. He is as masculine as in any this is why I never want to be a bully. I never use my power to bully people, but bullies have never scared me because my father was probably could have been a bigger bully than all y'all little weak bitches. And my father was like, if you act like that's not my son, I'm fuck you. I'm gonna kick you in your ass. Like my father just he held it down like a man. He wasn't out trying to impress weak Negroes. And because he had that determination, I got to grow up to become the man that I am today. You know, I became a seed of his, even though he did not biologically create me. My real father, who donated the sperm, don't even know the man, don't have any respect for him. He never came through for anybody. So manhood really means a lot to me. And a big part of the reason that you struggle as a community is because you have men that don't want to be accountable to anything or anybody. They want to be pleasure seekers. They just want to run and dip their penis in any old toxic waste dump that walks by. And when kids come up and kids are like, I need help, I need food, I need mentorship. They're like, man, screw you, little Negro. I ain't your damn daddy. Get the hell up out my face. Well, you sound kind of like, I mean, that's just that's the way police officers treat black boys, you know, like you just become a white man. Like that's because that's the way you sound. It doesn't mean you have to go and marry every woman that you meet. I'm not saying that. And one guy was like, well, at least I didn't wife somebody's baby's mama. Well, yeah, I'm like, no, you shouldn't go wife every woman that you meet. But there are some high quality ass women out here. And I can say this with complete confidence because believe me, for the guys that say this kind of stuff, I have been hit on by women that they can only dream about. I have had my options. When you make millions of dollars, you never run out of female options, believe me. I married the girl of my dreams and I didn't give a shit if she had kids or not because that woman is off the fucking hook. So I just really think that anybody who sees that type of stuff, it makes me sad. If you're under 30, then I get it, right? I'm 50 years old. I shouldn't be even debating with a guy who's 28 because when I was 28, I didn't know shit either. But if you talk about guys in their above 35 in their 40s and their 50s, and they can't even at least respect why another man would want to have accountability to a family and take care of people that he does not have to take care of, that's not really a man to me. You know, that's a reflection of the niggerosity that I talk about that's destroying your community. That's why you have these rappers that are dying at 45, 50 years old, looking like old men because they spent their whole life getting high and fucking everything. Their whole life. DMX, when DMX was 29 years old, I'm not making fun of him, but this is honest God. This is me to be honest with you. I remember when I'm the same age as DMX. And when we were in our 20s, he was the shit. He was the man. He was the number one rapper. So I paid attention to him like a lot of guys do. And I remember one time they asked him, they said he was on tour and they said, so what do you do while you on tour? And he said, you know, we smoke all day, fuck all night. And even at 28, I was like, wow, that sounds like fun. Like I didn't smoke. I was like, okay, fucking all night. Like, wow, I wonder what he's having sex with, right? You know, like you a young guy. Like that's cool. That sounds cool. The rock star lifestyle sounds great until you got a chance to when it's offered to you. I've had it offered to me. It ain't that great. like all that fun comes with STDs, unwanted babies, mamas, financial destruction, and all these other consequences that you can't even imagine. So I don't want that now. But back then it sounded pretty cool. But I remember thinking even then I was like, that he's gonna die. He's not gonna live very long. Like he doesn't sound like he has any goals for the future. He's not talking about building a legacy. He wasn't talking about anything like I want to get with build a strong family and become a billionaire and accomplish all my goals. Like he didn't say that. He said smoke all day, fuck all night. But that's pleasure seeking behavior. And you saw where that put him. He put him in an early grave. He didn't just die. He also died with a legacy where people have to work very hard to protect his legacy. Let me just say that. I'm not going to say it was a bad legacy. I'll leave that up to you to make that decision. But yeah, he was the greatest rapper ever. People loved his music. But what else did he leave besides the music? You know, do his children all have $10 million apiece? You know, was there sort of like a little bit of chaos that was left behind? So what I really believe is that in order for our community to really grow, the real men are going to have to take the lead. Some of these guys, unfortunately, are just lost. They're a little bit backward. I think that I remember when Muhammad Ali had that song, when he sang The Greatest Love of All, and they said, I believe the children are our future, teach them well and let them lead the way. I was one of those kids. Like I heard that as a kid and I was like, this is so great that there are these adults, these grown men who love us enough to teach us well so we can lead the way. Right. And that, to me, that kind of vision is what inspires me. It says that one day our kids are going to take over. And so the best way to invest in the Black community is to invest in the children. And I don't believe I have to be biologically related to a child to make that investment. There's millions of kids out here who, for no fault of their own, don't have a daddy. Some of them don't even have a mama. And for whatever reason, sometimes the families break up. Maybe the father, is a piece of shit. Maybe he ran off. Maybe the mother was a piece of shit. Maybe she ran him off. Maybe they were both just unable to make their relationship work. But either way, I believe children need fathers. I really do. And I believe that if I see a child that doesn't have the guidance of a father, that makes me say, okay, well, what can I offer this kid, that's going to help their life get better? Maybe I can give them some words of encouragement. Maybe I can say, stop doing that. Maybe I can say, here's how you can get ahead as a Black man. Like that's very passionate to me. And I don't do it for money. I make my money through my investments. I don't talk to you guys because I'm trying to get rich from doing a YouTube channel. Like that's not what makes me and my family well off financially. I do it because there are people out here who are seeing this and they think this is normal, right? So you don't really know. Like, you're like, okay, I met a girl, she's pretty cool, but dang, she got a couple kids. I don't want to be called a simp. Maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should just play these hoes. I need to just play these hoes or whatever, right? Because they're hearing this. They're hearing this sort of stuff from men my age. And I just kind of think that's not a healthy perspective for a young man to have for his whole life. I think that stuff eventually catches up with you. And again, I say this as a man. It's not like I'm a man who had no options. I say this comfortably and confidently because I know that 99% of the men who might say, oh, you simping or you whatever people say, I'm doing better than them, right? You'll never have a hater that's doing better than you. The people that are doing better than you are too busy succeeding to spend all the time trolling and hating. It's the people that are jealous, people that want what you got. They want to do what you want, what you have. Or maybe they see your life and they think, if I had his life, if I had his money, then I'd be out here pimping these hoes. I'd be out here just doing whatever. And I kind of think that as a community, you got to think of it like, I think of the Black community like a garden, and women and children. Children are the fruit, and women are maybe the fruit that bears the seed that we come together as men and women and we create children, which creates a community. And so to me, I don't understand how anybody thinks that the Black community can be successful when we are blanketly endorsing extreme disrespects of our women. I mean, not to the point where you gotta like be nice to every woman or call every woman a queen. I don't believe in any of that. Y'all know that, right? I got women that hate my guts because I talked about that stuff with Lizzo promoting obesity, and I didn't think that her record label should be allowed to do that because obesity kills Black people. But at the same time, it's like, my Lord, like you really convinced like all these people that are following you on YouTube that any Black woman with a child is worthless. That, and I never grew up that way. And maybe I'm biased because I saw the way my father loved the shit out of my mother, and my mother had options. Yeah, she had a little big head baby next to her, but my mother was fine as hell, and my mother knew how to treat a man. She knew, she was a quality woman, and my father had options. He had all I saw the women down the street all trying to flirt with him, like, "Hey, Larry, how you doing?" Right? And my daddy was like, I don't even know what he did personally. I don't know. Maybe he did something he wasn't supposed to do. I'm not going to pretend like he didn't. I have no idea. But I do know that he loved the hell out of my mother. And he was man enough to say, I don't care what nobody has to say about it. Even his own family, when they gave him a hard time about it, he was like, no, this is my family. That's my son. And there is no debating this with me at all. So anyway, let me go down and read more of the questions. How do we get in touch with you? I'm gonna give you an email address to my manager, producer at flynubianmedia.com. Her name is Taryn. She's very nice, and she can get the message to me. I don't have a lot of time, to be honest with you, for like one-on-one conversations. I know if you have a great idea and it's the best idea in the world, I empathize with that completely, but I'll be honest with you, between time with my family and time doing the other stuff I have to do, my time is kind of limited. So I just have to be truthful about that. Let's see. In 2012, my ex-husband abandoned our 4 kids, and it was so hard for me to understand how I will handle them when they are teenagers. In 2016, a PhD single man married me, and he's a true king. Well, good for you. Good for you. And unfortunately, the reality is like most of our quality men don't really think that way. I think that we have to just kind of kind of challenge that when we see it. All Black people are not alike. I'm firmly convinced that you have enemies, both foreign and domestic. So anybody who thinks that automatically you should stand by every Black person is right, or any Black person can say anything and you got to believe it because they're Black or you're a sellout, I don't fall into that camp at all. There is a segment of our community that is more dangerous, more toxic than the most racist white people in America, because the Klan can't come into a Black neighborhood and miseducate all your children, or get all your children smoking crack, or get all your kids doing terrible things that are going to ruin their lives, because we don't listen to the KKK. The KKK gets no respect in our community. But so what they do is they inject the racism in a different way. They send your favorite rapper and he raps genocide to a beat. And because you look up to this guy, your kids start copying him. And next thing you know, your child is in a complete mess. He's in prison. He's out thugging and killing people. He's got, a string of babies, mamas with STDs to go with it. He's got a bunch of kids that are not being taken care of. He's completely broke, and he's an alcoholic or a drug addict. And where does all that come from? Think about this. Look at the things that take men down. The big things that tend to take men down are at least four major vices: sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling. Those are four things that tend to take men down. Michael Jordan, Antoine Walker. Antoine Walker went broke, and he talked about how him and Michael Jordan would gamble all night long. And next thing you know, Antoine Walker blows through $100 million. And we almost think of it like it's not a big deal. And in the fact that you don't think it's a big deal, or that people just kind of were like, oh, well, that's too bad. It really reflects the problem, right? You don't understand how serious that is. The fact that he threw away $100 million means he could have turned that into $1 billion. That should have been $2 or $3 billion by the time he was done. So he literally destroyed his family for the next 100 years. Like, that's massive. That's not just a couple of mistakes. That's not just, God said we ain't all perfect. That old Christian stuff where you go mess up, you go to church, you say, well, I'm not perfect. And everybody's like, yes, Lord, I'm not perfect neither. But no, that's not the manhood that I just sort of grew up seeing. Like, to me, manhood meant accountability. It means you understand the significance and the gravity of everything you do, every word you say, every action you take, every move you make. It matters. It matters not just for you, but it affects all the people around you. It affects your kids. It affects your grandkids. It affects your woman. It affects your friends. It affects everybody in your space. So a man understands his power and understands that you can't just go out here and just, get caught up in the same traps as everybody else, but again, that's not a message for everybody, because not everybody is really into like critical thinking. So I literally thought about it. I would look at every great man I ever saw, and when he went down, when anytime a great man went down, I would study that. I would study the whole trajectory of that whole situation. And I would say, okay, wait, 1 minute, he's America's dad. Everybody loves him. He's got the most famous show in the world. He's respected worldwide, sitting with presidents and kings. The next minute, a few years later, he's in prison. How do you go from here to there? How did that happen? Well, what was the vice? The vice was drugs and sex. Remember, I told you sex, drugs, gambling, sex, alcohol, drugs, and gambling. Drugs and sex, right? It's not about guilt or innocence. I'm not talking about, we talk about Cosby. I'm not talking about whether he's guilty or innocent. I'm talking about, how did that happen? Where were the areas where you could say, okay, I might have done things a little bit different? Well, when I see that, I'm like, okay, first of all, I wouldn't have been hanging out with all them damn raggedy ass drug addicted white women out in Hollywood. I would have probably spent a little more time next to Camille. I don't think Camille would have strung Bill Cosby up like that. I think Camille deserves an NAACP Image Award. She deserves a fucking Nobel Peace Prize for the way she handled that. She's the ultimate soldier. She has a level of loyalty that only strong, super strong quality Black grandmothers tend to have. Like, that's that grandma loyalty, right? I don't know if anybody has that anymore, right? I don't even know if that even makes any sense. I don't know. It's up to you to decide that. But I think also, like, okay, so because, white folks give us a little bit of money, they put us on TV, make us a big deal. We start letting our guard down. We start thinking, oh, I'm famous now. I can have any woman I want. I can go anywhere I want. Like Eazy-E. I saw a thing with, because, Eazy-E also died. Again, which vice was it? Sex. Oh, that's right. AIDS. That's right. So I'm upstairs just now watching a documentary about NWA and Eazy-E. They talked about how Eazy-E became famous, and he started to really get caught up in the attention. He loved the attention. He loved the power of being famous. And that power is a drug. And when you're high on drugs, you do things that are not very smart. You're not strategic. So a lot of guys get caught up in that power. And so what happens is that when people see you let your guard down, that's when they realize they can go jump over the fence. A lot of people don't know this, but this is something that I learned. There are actually strippers out there that do the Cardi B thing. Like when Cardi B told you all about how she used to drug the men, like lure them in with sex and drug them so she could get their money and get them raped by a tranny and all that. Something that she probably should have went to prison for, but because she's a woman, nobody holds her accountable. She was a man, obviously, bad things would have happened. But that's not one person. Like there's a whole culture that does that. There's a whole like there's thousands of strippers out there that do that same kind of thing. And a lot of men that get a little bit of money and are like, oh, look at me, I'm working these hoes. Like you really think you think you're playing them, but some of them might be playing you. There are very strategic people out here. And so, one of the things about power and wealth in general is that acquiring power and wealth is one thing. Protecting it that becomes your next challenge. That becomes the next puzzle. So when I'm hearing guys say, oh, you're simping because you got married and because they're like, oh, because you could have had a pack of hoes or whatever. They don't understand that marriage is part of the strategy. Like that's part of the strategy. Like, I'm not operating like I'm not trying to be a player. I'm trying to be a king, and when you are operating as a king, you are strategic about the structure of the kingdom and how you lay that kingdom out. So, I personally just think that anybody that wants to be successful in a society that's filled with highly unsuccessful people, where you're watching your rappers die literally every 2 or 3 weeks after thinking that they become successful people, but you're obviously not successful because you fucking did, right? I encourage you to rethink what it means to be successful. Success doesn't just mean money or fame or power. Success can also incorporate peace. Can you still find your peace? Are you still able to be happy? Are you still able to be free from the many, many factors that are designed in the society to take you down? And the bigger you get, the more factors you'll have to calculate. So a lot of people fail because they're just not strategic. That's just what it is. So anyway, John says you have to have order in life. I agree. You can put your questions back in. I sometimes you know how I get. Sometimes I'll get to talking about a topic and I won't answer. But throw some questions up. I'll answer your questions. You can change the subject. Feel free to do that. And what was the reason for their downfall from power? The reason for a lot of men fall down is usually it's one of those 4 areas. Pay attention. Usually when a man goes down, it's for sex, drugs, alcohol, or gambling. Those tend to be the 4 things that take a man down. And then maybe you could throw in like various forms of financial irresponsibility that might usually be linked to sex, drugs, alcohol, and gambling. It goes back to the release of endorphins or pleasure-seeking behavior. Right? Pleasure-seeking behavior, if a man doesn't have discipline, and discipline means that just because I can have it don't mean I always want it. Right? Like a fat person who goes in a candy store and you say you can have all the candy you want. And they say, oh, because it's here, I got to eat it. Well, what's going to happen to that person? They're going to be obese. They're going to be unhealthy. They're eventually going to die, right? So a lot of your famous celebrities become like fat kids in a candy store. Everything's handed to them. Again, I know these things because I'm telling you, I see these. I've been up close. I've had these things offered to me, and I remember I have times where I would think, God, if I wasn't a strategically thinking, if I wasn't a deep thinker, that would look really appealing to me right now. But I'm not interested because I think about these things, right? If you don't have that discipline, then it'll lead to your demise. So you got to have discipline. And if you look around in our culture, look at what's promoted in the media. Is discipline promoted by your favorite rapper? Is he promoting a disciplined, intelligent lifestyle? Like, is he promoting like a Nation of Islam type of discipline? Like, have your house in order, build your wealth, educate yourself, take care of your family? Or are they promoting the exact opposite? They're promoting pleasure-seeking behavior, which ultimately leads to Black men dying at an early age. That's why all your rappers, not all of them, but many of them are dead at by the age of 40 or 50, usually from health-related issues. And the reason people can't extract lessons from that is because every time an entertainer dies from drugs, we start acting like it just happened by accident. We stop looking for the reason why. We stop trying to understand the process. Like, okay, how did this occur? How do we prevent this from happening again? No, instead, people just cry about it, and then they just wait for the next person to die. All right. So that's what it is. Let's see here. What would you think? Let me see. What would you say to a young debt-free homeowner multiple six figures, 26 years old, who is unsure if marriage is worth the risk. I would say marriage is very risky. I would say that you're 100% correct. Bro, do not think that because I got married at 49, mind you, I got made fun of because I didn't want to get married for a long time. I got married at 49. I had to really think that through. There's a lot of factors there. I'm not sitting here telling you like, oh, run up and get married, go do it. Do you know how many people, I saw so many people get married and lose everything. I've seen people get married, and you ever see somebody after they spent like 2 years, like you have a friend, you ever have a friend where you don't talk to them for like 2 years and you don't know where they at. And then it's like they come out of this dark cloud of a terrible relationship. And then then you see them again, like you see them in 2021. You haven't seen them since 2018. And they're like, oh yeah, let me tell you everything that was going on right during that time, right? They have this nightmare of a story to tell you. Yeah, girl, then he choked me, and then this happened and that happened. Like, right. And it's exhausting. It's fucking exhausting, because it's almost like for that person during that 2 or 3 year period where their relationship was dying, it was like they were in mourning almost every day. They were stressed out on a regular basis. They were incredibly unhappy. They were in a place mentally that is not a good place. That's what a bad relationship looks like. Like imagine imagine going out in the dark in a thunderstorm where it's pouring rain and there's lightning and it's just like a complete nightmare. Like that's what a bad relationship feels like. And a lot of us have felt that. A lot of us can know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I didn't want all of that. I didn't want that, because what that does is that pulls you away from all the things that you need to be able to accomplish. Like to accomplish things at a high level, to solve high level problems, solving the problem is enough. You don't want to be solving 8 problems at once. I'm not trying to figure out how to solve the problem of getting my business off the ground and figuring out how the hell to get along with an impossible person at the same time. Fuck that. Like, no, you shouldn't do that. So I'm not saying don't get married. I'm saying take your time and get training, get prepared for that. So because marriage has a lot of fruits and benefits to it if you can do it right, but doing it right means showing some discipline. You can't go trust every big button to smile. Ladies can't let any old guy into your body just because he looks good and sounds good. There's a lot of good sounding motherfuckers out here that will sweet talk their way into every vagina within a 100-mile radius. I've seen that. It's a lot of good talkers, a lot of fast tongues out here, a lot of fast talking Negroes. I can see them from a mile away because they come talking fast to me. Dr. Boyce, I got this great idea. Blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. I know you got this great idea. This business is going to change the world. Yeah. Well, don't tell me about what you're going to do. Come tell me what you did. That's what I literally tell everyone. I'd say that even to my kids. Like, don't tell me what you're going to do. I don't really care what you tell me you're going to do. Tell me about what you did. And then once you've done a few things, then you kind of earn some credibility with me, where you can talk about things you're going to do, because I'll believe you. If there's no track record, I don't believe you, right? So I think that a lot of people give themselves away if you look at their track record. You got to study, like, how did you handle all your previous relationships? How did you, what, you got kids? Well, let me meet the kids. How is he handling the kids right now? Okay, she's had this life up until this point. Why is it that you're so attractive and you've got these 3 kids and you can't find a good relationship? It can't be because there are no good black men out there. So either you're picking all the wrong ones, or you're ruining every man that you meet. You're ruining the relationships that you have. It's one of those two things, because it's not that. Now, I'm not going to believe the damsel in distress story. I just don't. I'm sorry. I find that good people, like my wife, for example, I'll use Alicia as an example. Alicia had no problem finding very high quality, high value men, so to speak, that were ready to sign the dotted line in a second, right? Because of the way she carries herself. She wasn't, even when we were younger, she had guys like NBA players and football players and dope boys with money. Like, all the guys that wanted trophies would try to hit on her. And she was like, I don't want a man like that. I want a man who is going to be a good father. I want a decent guy. I don't want a guy who's going to mess my life up and mess his up. So she wasn't chasing guys like that. And eventually she did marry a guy who's a great guy. And he's really smart, financially secure. He owned a condo when he was 27, 28 years old. And now we work together. Now we both co-parent the kids, and we love it. Like, it's an amazing thing. The kids are really blessed because of that. And and I saw how she made her choices. I used to use her as an example. This was back when we were friends. When we were friends, I really wanted to be her friend. It wasn't like I was friend zoned and wanted more or what. No. I really happy being her friend. I did not want to get married in my 20s. I barely thought about getting married in my 30s. I wanted to get married when I was about 45 years old, because I knew that by 45, I figured by 45, I will have had a chance to accomplish some of my goals. I was an extreme workaholic. I would work 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And then I became an entrepreneur workaholic, which means that I had a very volatile life. I mean, when you start off as an entrepreneur, for one month, your money's real good. Then the next month, your money sucks. Next month, the money's real good. Next minute, you're getting something repossessed. Like it's a crazy, volatile experience. At least it was for me. And I didn't want to have a spouse that I had to drag through all of this, especially somebody who didn't get it. Like sometimes you luck out and you meet like a real ride or die that's like, yeah, we're going to do it. Whatever sacrifice is necessary, let's just do it. But a lot of people are going to be like, no, I don't want it. Like, I don't want to take a chance that we might get evicted or whatever. Right. But when I was single, I could do all that. So I wanted to get married later. But at that time, though, I remember, that I would use her as an example to my daughters. I was like, look, I remember I would go to the club with her. All these guys would just line up and try to get up close to her, but she took her time and she picked. And that's what women are supposed to do, actually. If you look at the way animals mate, the way female animals mate. One time I was watching the Discovery Channel, and there was I like to watch stuff like that because it teaches me how animals think, and animals are a lot like humans, actually. And so there was this doe, and she was what they call it? She was fertile, basically. It was like spring. So she was supposed to have a baby and mate and all that stuff. So she was like naturally just looking for somebody to have a baby with. And so there's a big group of bucks, a big group of males, and they were all standing around. And they, of course, all of them were ready to get down. Like all the men were like, come over here, girl. Like I got something for you. Right. But nature and God taught her that you should only mate with the alpha male. You're only supposed to mate with the top 5%. That's why in a lot of the species, they call them trophy species. They have dimorphism. Dimorphism is where the males are bigger than the females. Like I think humans are kind of in that category. In a lot of these species, the top 5% of the males produce 95% of the offspring. I don't know if y'all know that. But humans are kind of actually in both there because they have what they call it trophy species and pair bonded species. So trophy species have what they call dimorphism, where the male is bigger than the female. And then you have pair bonded, where they form longer term relationships and the male and the female are about the same size. Right. And so they tend to get together as a couple and they raise the children together. And in the pair bonded species, they have more kids because the children have two parents. Whereas in the trophy species, where there's dimorphism, the males just kind of hit it and quit it. But it's only the top 5%. So only 5% of the males produce 95% of the offspring. It's really fascinating stuff. And so anyway, so this doe was like, okay, hey, I'm looking, she's looking good, right? Nice booty and all that stuff. And she's going up to this big group of men, and they can all smell, women release pheromones, that males can just kind of tell, like, that you're ready. Or like for women, like humans, I heard that like even if a woman wears a red dress, they say subconsciously she's communicating that she really wants some, right? And so she's up there, and they all know she's ready, and they're ready because they're dudes, right? And she gets up to him, and all the guys are like coming up to her, trying to talk to her. They're not talking, but they're like sniffing each other's butts and whatever. And she's just kind of like ignoring them, like, because what happens is that with bucks, the strongest males are in the middle of the pack. So the outside men, she didn't want the scrub. She didn't want the guy, hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's ride, right? She didn't want that guy. So she knew the scrubs were on the outside, because clearly if you were an alpha, you would be in the middle where the power is at. You wouldn't be on the outside, right? So you got a lot of these, y'all know, ladies, y'all know them when you see them, right? So she gets up there, and all the scrubs are trying to holler at her, whatever. And she's ignoring all of them. And then the narrator said, now notice as she gets closer to the center, the options become more appealing. So as she's getting closer to the center where the alphas are, she's really taking her time, kind of like checking them out, sniffing them like, hey, maybe this is the baby daddy for me. Maybe you will be a good baby daddy, right? But she holds out and she waits, and she gets to the very middle, and she gets with the alpha, and right there in front of everybody, he gets on her, they do their thing, and she runs off into the woods. She's like, thank you, I'm pregnant, I'm happy now. Right. And that really taught me a lot about just how the dating process and the mating process kind of works. And I think that women are more likely to be successful and happy in their lives, in terms of procreation or sexuality, if you have some sort of standard or discipline, so that you set the bar at a level where only certain men can really jump that bar. And I know that that's a hard decision, though, right? Because life is complex. We all make choices for whatever reason we make them. But I think about it in terms of like, you know, like a lot of times, you know, you'll see some lady that's getting a lot of likes on her Instagram page because she's showing her body parts, or maybe she gets a lot of attention from men because she's willing to do whatever. And then you have another woman who wants something a little bit different, who wants kind of a higher standard or higher quality of man, but maybe she reduces that standard because she doesn't want to seem stuck up, or because she's got a, you know, a scrub that's saying, oh, you're a gold digging bitch because, you know, you can't date a man who works at Burger King every day. And I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying that there's a natural reason that women are not interested in the men that are really just not winning. So I personally would say to guys like that, like if you know, because again, a lot of guys who say black women are all gold diggers, first of all, that's a stupid statement because you can't generalize an entire group of people in that way. But when they say that, a big percentage of these guys are just guys who could not succeed. These are guys who are just mad because maybe she had better options and she was like, I don't really want to have children with you because you're broken, you're stupid, right? And but they're interpreting it as, oh, you're stuck up or whatever. So then women are like, oh, well, I don't want to be stuck up. So then next thing you know, you're like just kind of letting any old creepy crawly rodent climb in your bed. And then you've got this guy and you're raising kids with this guy. And I could go down the list of mistakes that men make also. I think with men, I think our biggest mistake is that we can get caught up in a woman's beauty and attraction. Like a lot of times there are actually studies that say that when a person is more attractive, we think that they are a better person. You literally can look at somebody, like if she knows how to play the game and appears to be like a good bring home to mama type of woman, then you will think she's a good person just because she's pretty, right? And you will fall in love with her just because she's pretty. You know, the big button, the smile, a nice booty or whatever will literally be the ticket to everything. And I think that for men, I think kind of thinking about it in a multi-factor sort of way, valuing kind of your life, not just yourself, but really kind of saying, like, what is my master plan? And can this woman fit into my master plan? And at the very least, even if I only allow her into my space for a short period of time, is this somebody who could come in as a suicide bomber and blow up the whole fort? Because some of these women are crazy. You got real crazy women out here that if you disappoint them, you're triggering something that they've had since childhood. They're still upset because their daddy left. So next thing you know, she is getting you fired from your job. She's falsely accusing you of rape. She's running around ruining your reputation. She done came and keyed up your car and cussed out your mama and, you know, whatever, right? And I've seen that happen too, right? And so what I believe at the end of the day is that if you have something you have to protect, you've got to really be cautious about who you let through the door. Like you got to be like security, like, okay, who are you? Why are you here? You know, and to really vet those people out. That's not really trained in society. I can't think of anywhere where people really have extensive conversations about this. I have seen some of the most talented people in the world ruin everything because of one of those vices that I mentioned before. You know, falling in love with the wrong person, or messing with the wrong lady, or getting dabbling with drugs and alcohol, or whatever. And so when you're really trying to accomplish things, you really have to think all these things through. Because if you don't, then something will derail you that you didn't even really think would even be a factor. So don't be sloppy. You know, be smart with your life. Like really think these things through. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes I didn't get along with a lot of the black males in my space, because the guys I grew up around, they wasn't about nothing. They wasn't doing anything, you know. And I was like, no, I want to win. I don't want to sit around feeling sorry for myself. But I think I was also lucky because I had a father who told me that you shouldn't feel sorry for yourself. Like, stop it. Just, you know, stop feeling sorry. Like, stop. Everybody's got problems. You either solve it or you don't. You know, like seriously, like just get up and figure it out. So anyway, all right. Give me another question so I can jump to a different topic. Let's see here. This is coming from the second option poster guy. Okay. This is what we're doing now. Cool. Okay. Danny Son. Okay. Danny, you know, if you're under the age of 30, I can forgive you for saying what you said, because maybe I would have said the same thing. But no, I'm the first option for women that would never give you the time of day. So we're going to just move past that. All right. So let's see. Curtis Davis says some women think you don't love them unless you beat their butt. Yeah, that's a big problem. You got a lot of mental illness in the community. If people grow up kind of worshiping and honoring thugs, ain't nothing you could do with that. You know, I married a woman who didn't grow up looking up to like rappers. She didn't. Her father was a professor like me. So a lot of people are attracted to people who remind them of their opposite sex parent. And so, so it's like her dad used to make fun of guys like Lil Wayne. He'd be like, "What is this? This Negro can't read. He can't write. He's stupid." And maybe he's not completely stupid. Maybe he's a genius in terms of music. But if you look at the way a Lil Wayne lives his life, there's nothing healthy about anything in his life. There's nothing about the way he lives where you would want a guy like that around your children on a regular basis. Who wants a man around who's high and drunk all the time? Like that, I mean, just the fact that you think that that's even normal, that is outrageous. It's unbelievable. So I think that men should, and women should think about these things. Let's see. Why did your wife divorce her first husband? That's more personal. I can't really talk about that. That's their business. But I will say that I did, because I was her friend, I got to observe how she handled the divorce. And the big thing is that you can learn a lot about a person by not how they just deal with their friends, but watch how they deal with their enemies. So like, ladies, if you date a guy who, is trying to go murder his ex-girlfriend, well, eventually you're going to be the next victim. Or if he meets you because he's cheating on somebody else, well, yeah, of course he's going to cheat on you. He's a cheater. Like, that's what he does, right? And I'm not judging. I don't care. I mean, it's fine. Like, people do whatever they want to do. A lot of people do a lot of stuff that is unsanctioned, unauthorized, but don't think that like your situation is going to be different. Like that Belle Biv DeVoe song, I Thought It Was Me. I thought it was me that made that girl this way. I found out she's like that every day. Remember that, right? So you might think it's you. You might think you're the one that can make him change, or you're the one who's going to make her different. No, she's going to treat you just like she treats everybody else. If all of her ex-boyfriends are her enemies, then you will be her enemy at some point too, because some people are so traumatized from childhood, and most of this trauma is unaddressed. It's like stopped up sewage in their soul. They've never flushed it. A lot of people write the story. They write the end of the story before the story begins. And you got to look out for that. What's the best dating advice you have for single mothers? Bring your best game to the party and have standards. So I think of it like I honestly think about dating as looking for a job. I'm an economist. Everything's a market. Dating is a market, just like you have a job market, just like you have a stock market. You have the market at the grocery store. What happens in the market? Well, in the market, there's a trade, right? You go to the grocery store, you bring money, they give you food. The better the food you want, the more money you have to pay, right? You pay more at Whole Foods than you pay at Audi, all right? And so effectively, if you go into that market and you're trying to get the right trade for yourself, you have to have some sort of awareness of how that market operates, right? So this is where I actually am. I can get some of what Kevin Samuels says, because Kevin Samuels kind of says in his own way, in a way that's very different from the way I would say it. He kind of says, like, why would you expect level 9 when you're offering level 5, right? I agree with that statement wholeheartedly, actually, that you can't expect a 9 when you're offering a 5. Where there's ambiguity, and where I would debate him or anyone else on this issue, is who makes the decision that you're a 5 or a 9, right? Whose right is it to decide that you're a 5 or that you're a 9? I think that's a very dangerous kind of way to look at life, because a lot of us went through life where maybe you were a 9 and people told you were a 5, so you believed you were a 5, right? So that's the thing that you have to be cautious about, right? Is that a lot of you have been told you were a 5 when really you were a 9, or you could have been a 9, but you didn't believe you were a 9, so you acted like a 5, right? So I think that self-awareness and that self-esteem is real important in terms of knowing your worth. But self-esteem can be, you can OD on self-esteem. There are people that OD on self-esteem to the point where they become absolute narcissists, and they think their shit does not stink. And then they go out into the world thinking they're a 9, when really they're presenting themselves as a 5. They're not giving themselves the accountability necessary to truly be a 9, right? But yet they're coming out like, I'm a 9. You need to respect me as a 9. And then people are like, no, I'll offer you 5 for that. I'll put 5 on it, but I'm not going to give you a 9 because you're not really a 9 to me. And then next thing you know, they go back to some group of people. It might be a bunch of angry women, or it might be a bunch of bitchy men who will say, oh, well, these men ain't shit. These women ain't shit. These black women, they all gold diggers. Well, yeah, but you calling her a gold digger because you actually had no gold to offer her. Like, you had nothing. Like, you offered her copper and nickels. Like she may not have needed a ton of gold, but you ain't even got the basics, bro. You haven't even done anything to present any form of financial security, but you calling her gold digger because
She don't want to be married to a McDonald's employee who's living paycheck to paycheck. That's her right. That is okay, right? So here's the thing. Somebody says I'm quoting Kevin Samuels. Am I? I don't know. I don't watch Kevin's show. I know Kevin did a show about me. That was brought to my attention after I found out who he was, and I saw a little bit of it, like maybe 3 minutes of it. I don't watch any videos about me hardly. I see that I watch like a couple minutes, but I learned, like, talk about self-awareness. I know that I get a little annoyed and triggered if somebody's saying something that's just not true. So I honestly don't even read it or watch it. I just don't. I'll see the video. I'll be like, oh, Lord. I'll show Alicia. I'll be like, look at all these videos people are doing about us. Like they really know us. We laugh about it, but I don't watch any of that shit at all. I just don't really. I got better things to do than watch YouTube all day. But here's the thing. So let me go further. So with it being a market, here's the thought I would have, right? And this is not me telling single mothers what to do. I'm not here to do that, because I think that I see it as like it's difficult as shit. It is so hard, and the thing is that the world misunderstands all of us, right? Like people talk about me and Alicia's relationship like they know us, and these motherfuckers don't know shit, and I know they don't know shit because we don't tell them shit, right? But I talk about these things, but I don't tell them exactly how things happen, in private, right? So I get that, right? And I think that single motherhood is tough, and I think it would be very I'd have to be careful as a man taking my advice too seriously, because I'm not a mother, right? And I also think that just as a general rule, we can honestly talk about the process while still acknowledging the importance of motherhood in our society. My daughter is a single mother. And the first thing I told her, after I told her that I wasn't happy that she was pregnant by this guy, is I said, being a mother is the most powerful, most important job you will ever do in your life. If mothers stop doing their jobs tomorrow, our whole society would crumble. I hope we can agree on that. I hope that I can say that without having a bunch of little kids coming in here talking about that's simping. Like, no, I'm talking about your mama, Negro. What the hell's wrong with you, man? like you don't feel like you owe anything to your mama? Then you need a therapist, brother, because that's crazy to me, right? So I would say that when it comes to single mothers dating, I think that if you look at it as a market, let's go back to that general point I made earlier when I said everything's a market. If you're a 9, you're usually going to get a 9. If you're a 5, you're going to get a 5, whatever. You prepare yourself for the market. You understand the market, right? You try to understand, like, okay, if I want this, I can't offer this, right? Like, I'm a man. Let's switch it over with me as a man and how I looked at the dating market. This is really how I looked at it when I was single. Is I was like, okay, the finest girl in the room is going to get offers from all these other guys. Now they're going to be taller than me because I'm only 5'8", so I can't compete on height. But where are some areas where I can make myself a hell of a good catch? Well, I have more education than 99.9% of all the people I meet. That's a plus. Check, right? I'm pretty good at conversation. I love talking to my woman and having deep intellectual conversations. And I read a book about women to understand women, so I understand how they operate to some extent. I'm not perfect, but I learned a lot from reading a book. It's called What Women Want Men to Know by Dr. Barbara DeAngelis. So check, right? So I can give you a good conversation. I'm very, very smart. I like to think I'm a decent person. Check. I've got, okay, women having more money tends to, on average, make you into a better catch. Well, I've made millions of dollars. Check. That eliminates 99.9% of my competition. I don't have to worry about being outflanked by the guy who works at Burger King. What else? Then there's more, right? There's more. You can go down the list, right? So now here's the thing. Now somebody says simp. Check. That's funny, Naomi. Thank you for that compliment or for that comment. And I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. First of all, that word simp is a weird term to me. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like I guess if a guy calls me a simp and he's doing worse than me in every category known to man, I don't know. If what I'm doing is simping, I don't want to be you. Like whatever you're doing, I don't want to do that. I want to do what I'm doing because I have options that you can never get. Right. So here's the deal. So the thing was that to be ready for the market, to be ready for the person that you want, you have to bring your A game. You got to figure out the market. You have to figure out, in my view, you have to figure out, what do you think your dream woman is going to be looking for? And what are some ways that you can make sure that you are the shit, right? Well, how do you become the shit? Well, you know that there are books out there on how you can just relate to other people and make them like you more. Be a likable motherfucking person. How about we start there, right? Seriously. So if you realize that you have a resting bitch face and that makes men run away, well, then maybe you want to address that. Like, maybe if I smile, then he's going to feel more welcome. He's going to want to talk to me more. The first thing I noticed about Alicia, when I saw her across a crowded room, I saw how beautiful she was. But then I walked up to her and she gave me the biggest smile. And that literally made me say, okay, it's okay for me to say and talk to this woman and to sit down with her. If she had looked at me and said, what do you want? Who are you? I would have said, no, that's okay. No, I'm fine. I'll have a good day. Have a nice day. Because I didn't want to be with a woman who's a bitch. Men don't like bitches. I don't know. Men, can you confirm this for me? Please confirm this for me if you don't like bitches. I don't like bitches. So being nice, getting over yourself is a great first step toward becoming a quality person, in my view. That requires humility. That requires a lot of humility. And it takes work to build that up. It really does. Like, seriously, I'm taking from a guy right now who gets called a simp because I'm very nice to my woman. Like, I want to be nice to my woman. It's like, yeah, baby, what can I do? You are my queen. I put you on a pedestal, right? And now, why am I okay with that? Knowing that little boys on the internet and misguided, stupid little girls who were raised to fall in love with thugs who were choked them to death will look at me and say, that you simping, you too nice. Why you nice to that hoe, right? Well, I do that because there's something called the law of reciprocity. This is something that applies to sales. This is in sales. Look it up. The law of reciprocity says that when you're nice to the right people, they will be nice to you. And then you create a circle of kindness. So because I make you feel good, you make me feel good. I make you happy. Well, you want to make me happy. Instead of doing the niggerosity thing, the niggerosity trap is, I'm going to treat you like shit because I think bitches ain't nothing but nothing and single mamas ain't shit to me. And so I treat you like shit. So you treat me like shit. And then I say, well, bitches ain't shit. And then you say, well, niggas ain't shit. And next thing you know, we a bunch of bitches and niggas going back and forth. That's where bitches and niggas come from. I don't want to be around bitches and niggas. I want to be around kings and queens. My woman is a queen. Like, she's going to be a queen every fucking day of the week because I get to be her king every day of the week. If she didn't treat me like a king, I wouldn't be here. So how about that? How about we start with that number one rule of relationships? Don't be an asshole. That's it. Like, stop, like this whole weird, like that simping conversation is strange to me because are you saying that the best way to connect to quality women is to be mean to them? If that's what you're saying, then no wonder you're mad at women. No wonder you get on the internet and bitch about black women all day because you're either linking up with bitches or you're turning them into bitches because you're a fucking asshole. Just because I'm a powerful man doesn't mean I have to be an asshole. Let me calm down. Let me keep going. I hope you get the point. And then there's other basic things. Again, a market. Dating's a market. Think of it like looking for your dream job. If you're looking for a good job, you tighten up your resume. You dress well for the interview. You study the company that you want to work for. You get the training that you need to make yourself catch of the year. You do the work. You hold yourself accountable by really doing the work. And then when you show up to the job market, then you will get opportunities that you would not have gotten if you had not done the work. One of the reasons that a lot of dating doesn't happen the right way, or a lot of frustrations out here, where you got men complaining that black women ain't nothing but gold diggers, and women complaining that men are just evil assholes or whatever, is because people want all the benefits, but they don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the work. And then, or if they do the work, they don't hold standards for other people, expecting them to do the work. I personally believe that I believe that this idea of a good man and a bad man, I think that is a little bit of a stretch of a term, because I've seen the same man who was a good man with one woman and a bad man with the other. I believe that you train people you teach people how to treat you. That's what I tell my daughters. I tell them you teach guys how to treat you. If they know that you are the girl that they can call every 2 weeks and get some ass at 2:00 in the morning, then that's what they're going to give you. It's like if I walk into a store and they say, "Welcome to Walmart. All of our shirts are $12 and our pants are $14." Then I'm going to walk in that store expecting to spend $14 for a pair of pants. But if I walk into Bloomingdale's and they say, and I say, "Well, what can I get for $14?" And they say, "You can get a couple candy bars and a pack of gum," right? They say, "Well, but you're not going to get any clothes in this store with $14." Then I'm going to raise my standard, my expectation. And the people who can't meet the standard are going to leave the store. So that's why in Walmart, you have millions of customers, but you probably have less than 5% of that. They go to Bloomingdale's because only certain people can afford to go to Bloomingdale's. And only certain people are willing to spend what's necessary to get an outfit from Bloomingdale's. Everybody can go to Walmart. So the biggest mistake that so it's a question you got to ask yourself in general in life is, are you a Walmart person or are you a Bloomingdale's person? So if you decide you want to be a Bloomingdale's person, you got to understand the benefits and the cost of that, right? You got to understand that the benefit is that all the customers who buy in your store are going to pay a higher price per customer. They're going to pay because your clothing is quality. You did the work to make sure that look, you can get stuff here that you can't get at Walmart. Right? You can get a level of love it from me. You can get a level of loyalty from me. You can get a level of quality from me as a person that you can't get from Walmart. So you've done the work. So your average value per customer is going to be higher. Your average customer might spend $500-$600 in your store as opposed to Walmart, where they might spend $18.47. Right? And but the downside is that you're not going to have as many customers as Walmart is. You're not. And the biggest mistake that a Bloomingdale's person can make is to try to fucking compete with Walmart. If you try to compete with Walmart, like if you start saying, "Gosh, their store is so full and they had 3,000 customers that came through yesterday. We need to catch up with them." So next thing you know, you start lowering your prices and you're offering a higher quality product at a bargain basement price so you can compete with something that you have no business competing with. And then next thing you know, you're going to start attracting those people that are going to want to come over here and buy your quality product at a low price. And then you're going to be mad because you're selling yourself cheap. You're like, "Wait a minute, this outfit costs $400 for us to make this suit, and we sold it for $150 because we don't understand the difference between quality and quantity." There's a difference between quality and quantity. And so I would say that if I would say a single mom, which I'm not, and I'm not judging on any level, I'm not telling you what to do. These are just my thoughts. I would really sort of think carefully about what it means to really do the work to present your best self. Like there are books you can read on how to understand men. You start by listening to men. If it's about looks, appearance, are you working out at the gym to stay in shape? Are you, are you able to offer the things that a quality man might want? If he's a man of wealth, or has some business that he does, or whatever it is, like me, like I'm a businessman. One thing that my wife does that really helps me a lot is she's a social butterfly. Like she can go into a dinner party with really important people and wow the crowd, right? My antisocial ass, I don't get it right? I always mess it up. But she'll go in and she's smiling and she's friendly and she's buddies with everybody. Me and Alicia went to visit Dr. Claude Anderson and his wife years ago. And before that, the Andersons knew me and I was close to them, but they knew me as a single man. They just knew me as Boyce. And we were still building the trust in the relationship. That one time when I brought Alicia and she sat down with Mrs. Anderson, and they turned out both of them some old high yellow black women. They just happens to be, they both black, 100% black, but they, but also they happen to get their PhD from the same school. They both went to Florida State. After that, Mrs. Anderson's like, "Oh my gosh, I love that Boyce, and I love Alicia. Oh my gosh, I love Alicia." Right? So that wife next to you, like that quality woman next to you, adds value to who you are as a person. Like Barack Obama knew that he needed Michelle. Like notice how many times they'd be like, "Everybody hates Barack right now, but we're gonna send Michelle out there and talk to the people," because everybody always loved Michelle the entire presidency. They still love her to this day. So factoring all that into your grand plan is extremely important. So you weren't ever going to see me showing up with some raggedy, mediocre type of person. You just wasn't. That wasn't something I wanted in my life, right? And also the other thing too is I think every situation is different, and I think the ability to kind of vet people out and be okay with letting people go. Some of the fish need to be thrown back into the lake, and it's okay. But that requires confidence. It requires confidence. I think also, just like in market, everything's a negotiation, right? So if I'm negotiating with you and trying to pick out a person that can meet my high standard and getting you to make sure you meet that standard, I also have to have a credible threat implicit in my negotiation. And what does a credible threat mean? A credible threat means that I'm not going to beg you, but I'm going to let you know how much I love you and I appreciate you and I need you. But I'm not going to let you think that I can't walk away from this situation if it's not appropriate, if it doesn't work. Right. And so I see that sometimes where people will get abused in a relationship because the other person hears them say, well, if you don't treat me better, then there's plenty of people that would treat me better. Yeah, that's just talk. Usually to get people's attention, sometimes you really have to actually walk away from the table and be okay doing that. Right. So I think you can't be afraid to be single. Like you can't be afraid to say, I'm just going to sit over here. Just like looking for a job. Right. You apply for the job. You say, I want 80,000 a year. They say, well, we're only going to pay you 50. You say, okay, no problem. Good luck. I hope you find somebody that will work for 50,000 because it won't be me. Good. I'll see you soon. Right. But then at the same time, you can't be a person showing up to the job, wanting the $80,000 job when your resume says, that you're a $30,000, $40,000 candidate. And I think being honest about that is extremely important too. So it's really a balancing act, right? Because you got people like that. You got people out here who haven't had a job for years, and you say, well, why don't you have a job? Well, because I'm looking for a company that will hire me and pay me $250,000 a year to work 10 hours a week, and you'll be like, but you only have a GED, and they're like, yeah, but there should be a company that pays me $250,000 a year to work 10 hours a week with my GED. Well, that's obviously not congruent and consistent with what the market has to bear and what the market's offering. But what I really want you to be cautious about too, though, is letting other people tell you what your market value is and what your worth is. That's a problem. That's a self-esteem issue. And I don't think men should be the only ones telling women what your worth is on the market. I think reality and life should tell you these things, but you got to listen. Right? Because a lot of times men will tell you, or not just men, maybe women do this too. But I've seen people say, well, I knew a lady who was in a terrible relationship and she wanted to leave, and she was a gorgeous woman. And I don't know why I didn't know the details of the relationship. But one thing their husband said was, he said, if I leave you, you can't pay the bills by yourself and nobody's going to want you because you're a single mother with kids. Nobody wants to marry a woman with kids. And she was afraid to leave. And so she got to the point, what made her leave was she said, I don't care. I'll just be single for the rest of my life then, whatever. And what she didn't realize was that the minute she became single, all kinds of men, better men, were chasing her down and wanted to be with her. Because there's a lot of men who are like, yeah, I don't mind your kids as long as they're well behaved and you're treating me well, then that's cool. The other thing too is this money too. Remember, kids are not cheap. Kids cost money. So a lot of the guys who cannot be with a woman that has kids already they just can't afford it. So maybe if I were younger and didn't have any money, then maybe kids would be something where I'd be like, I don't know if I want to take on paying bills for all these kids. That's another burden. But the money's not an issue for me. Like, it's like, yeah, of course. Sure. The kids are great. Kids are fun. I love kids. Like, it's just like I used to be a youth track coach and I had 14, 20 kids and I loved them all. I love the idea of engaging with kids because that's your opportunity to shape the future. But not everybody has that. Not everybody wants to be a teacher. Maybe they want to do other stuff. But I think that loving kids, like, there's nothing wrong with saying, like, kids are cool. Like, kids are okay. Like, they're not just this big burden that keeps you from having sex. Like, they actually can add value and they're actually a lot of fun. So anyway, let's see here. Tanya says, Doc, wasn't Dr. Alicia a single mom too? Yeah, she was. But I didn't date her thinking about her as a single mom. I dated her thinking about her as the woman of my dreams. And when a man sees you, that's another thing I would say to women, is that sometimes I've noticed, in my view, I feel like sometimes women are not always willing to look for that guy that might be right next to you that's really, really into you. Like I think that marriage and commitment is really hard to do, especially when you talk about dealing with men who have a lot of options. Maybe guys that don't have options, maybe it's different for them, but I had a lot of options. And so one of the things that really, I think, puts a man on his best behavior is if he really, really, really admires you. Like I really, really, really admired my wife. Like I had, there were other girls around or whatever. And when when she and I talked about getting together, I was like, I think I like her a lot. So this is what I want. So I went for what I wanted. Right. And if a man is in that mode, then I think you're going to get a better man than if you're dealing with a guy, maybe a cocky guy who has a lot of options, who's like, yeah, well, you should be glad. You should be glad that I'm even giving you the time of day. Like, you don't want somebody that's going to look at you like that, because somebody like that who doesn't appreciate something is not going to treat it well. It's like like a car, like if you don't value your car, you're going to tear it up. You're going to just drive it ragged. You're going to leave garbage in the back of it. Right. But if it's precious to you, and you value that car, then you're going to keep it clean. You're going to, change the oil all the time, whatever. Right. So find somebody like I think that this is a self-esteem thing. This is a self-esteem thing. This is real important. Pay attention. This is an important point I'm making here. A lot of times we don't have our self-esteem intact to the point where we need these external things to make us feel better about ourselves. Right. Like there are some guys I know who, if they were sitting next to an ugly woman, they would feel like they're less of a man. They'd be like, oh man, my boy is going to make fun of me. Man, I got it, but they got a pretty girl. They're like, yeah, I'm the man. Look at my girl I got. Look at the car I got. Right. And that's fine. But I can say I'm not in that category. Right. I could literally have married a woman with the face of a barracuda. But if I love the shit out of that woman, like let's say that she's just the greatest thing since sliced bread for reasons that I don't have to share with anybody else, I wouldn't care, because I'm not, I don't think I've gotten past the point of needing to impress lesser people in order for me to feel good about myself. Like, because I can afford cars and all that. I don't need, why am I going to go spend money on an expensive car just to impress you? Like, why? So I don't buy the most expensive car I can get. I get the car that's comfortable. I get the car that I like. I get the car that makes me feel good. Right. I got the car I got was nice. I'm sure if you saw it, you'd be impressed. But I didn't get it to impress anybody. I got it because the damn thing's comfortable and I like it. I got a 2018. Yeah, I can afford a 2021. I can afford a lot of stuff. But it's like, no, I'm not going to spend money to impress other people. Right. And that's a self-esteem thing. Right. You've got to already feel good about who you are. And the reason that's important is because it affects how you go about forming all partnerships in your life. It affects how you look for jobs. Think about it. Some people they'll go find a job that will make their life miserable, but they endure all that stress because they are proud to tell people about that job. They're proud to say, I'm a correspondent at the White House, or I am a senior manager at General Electric, right? Like, what I'm talking about? Like, they're going through hell, life is miserable or whatever. Or like you done signed a record deal, the record label's ripping you off and stressing you out and your life is falling apart. But yet you're proud of the fact that it helps your self-esteem to tell people that you are a signed artist or that you're a famous person, right? And so what happens is that you go through that earlier in your life where you're looking for these external validators to make you feel better about your life. And then maybe you have a little bit of that. You get that out of your system, right? You sow your oats, so to speak. Then you get to the point where you're like, man, I don't care what nobody thinks. I just want to be happy. I just want peace. And then what happens is you stop picking partners the way you used to. Maybe when you're young, you're 28, you want to be with the finest girl, because you know that your boys are going to, congratulate you and think you're the man because you got the finest girl. Oh, man, you hit that, right? But then you get older and you're like, I'm looking for a woman that's going to make me happy. I don't care if you're the finest girl. You could be the finest fucking thing. It says sliced bread. You could be 10 times prettier than Beyonce. But if you're a bitch that drives me crazy every single day of the week, I do not want you around me. I will tell you, I will open the door and let you walk out and never, ever open it again. Like, never hope that you will ever come back through that door, and it takes time to get to that point. Same thing with jobs. Like, I've had nice jobs. I've had, certain things that gave me status, but there's not a job anywhere anyone could offer me for any amount of money that would make me want to go work for white people ever again. I'm just not, it means absolutely nothing to me. My happiness is what matters to me. And so you pick differently when you're picking something that has substance and value to you versus picking something that gives you status, right? So because I see a lot of women that will endure a horrible relationship with a horrible man. Also, they can brag about how they're married to a senator or they're married to an executive or whatever. And so I say, pick a person that's going to make you happy, that's going to work for you, that's going to treat you well. Just like you pick a job that's going to treat you well, like a company that's happy to have you, that says, hey, we'll pay you well because we think you're awesome and we really want you here. Like, that's a good relationship, right? Same thing. If somebody every day is telling you, I value you, like, I love you, I think you are the most amazing thing in the world. And think about this. I mean, every day you wake up and you got a man that's looking over at you and saying, you are so beautiful. I look over at my wife. I swear, I'm stupid. I'm stupid giddy. I sound like such a simp right now. I know, but I will look at this woman. I'm like, babe, ever since I was young, I used to dream of waking up, rolling over, and seeing a beautiful face in the morning. You are the most beautiful woman on earth. And I mean it, like, to the bottom of my soul. And if people think that's simping, then fuck it. I'll be a goddamn simp. But you got to find a man that's willing to do that for you. I think if because the thing is, some of you will be like, you're attracted to, like, one of the biggest mistakes I've seen some women make is they're attracted. Like, I know women like men that have confidence, or like extreme confidence, or big egos. Beyonce had that song, I like a big ego, right? And I think she's talking about also the penis, or the penis part. We get that, right? But we say a big ego. I don't like big egos. I don't think big egos are appealing on any level. Why in the flying fuck would you be attracted to a narcissist? Why? What benefit is there on this earth to be in a relationship with a person who thinks they're the center of the fucking earth, who has no empathy for anyone around them, who shits on everybody within a 100-mile radius and disrespects them? Why would you want to be in a relationship with a person like that? I never understood that. And so I've never understood. I understand the desire for confidence, right? I understand you wanting confidence in a man, but you don't want ego. You don't want arrogance. Arrogance is not confidence. Arrogance is the perception of confidence that is hiding an unbelievable set of insecurities. So when a guy is like, look at me, I'm the greatest, I'm the most special, I'm the most everything, I am what, look at, because don't I look good today? And then it's weird, there are women that find that appealing, that really think that that's confidence, and they really love that. And I'm like, no, that's going to be a nightmare, because all the needs that you have emotionally are not going to be met, because you basically are in a relationship with a person that is a complete diva. So I personally think this. I believe that the best people in our community, and I believe the good people should try to link up with other good people. The best people in our community are those who have confidence, but not a lot of arrogance with that. I think extreme confidence with extreme humility is what you want to aim for. Like, I try my hardest to be as humble as I can be, but I'm very fucking confident. There's nothing that I don't believe I can do. I swear, I brainwashed myself to believe that. That's why nothing that anybody throws at me, whether it's online or anywhere else, bothers me, not one bit, right? But I also understand that with great power comes great responsibility, and also your responsibility when you become that powerful, when you do have that confidence and that capability and resources or whatever it is, you're not supposed to use that power to shit on other people. You're not supposed to use that power to remind everybody how you're better than them or whatever. Like, that doesn't make you a good person. That doesn't make you a benefit to humanity. It doesn't. That, if you think that you're always the most important person in the room and you're the only one that has anything important to say, and you ignore everybody else and make them feel bad, that doesn't make you a better person, right? So I would not feel good about myself. If you talk about relationships in particular, I feel like my measure as a quality man is how much can I do to make this woman feel loved and appreciated on every single level. And so in a way, we're in a culture war. You're in a culture war between, and I know there's millions of guys out there like that. There's millions of good guys out there. And my heart goes out, because a lot of these guys get overlooked. They get overlooked by the women who are taught to worship a false god, who are chasing the wrong kind of energy from a man. And then they go through these horrible experiences with these men. They get abused and lied to, cheated on, beat up, everything else. And then next thing you know, you're mad at all men. And these men don't deserve your anger, because some of these men are good men. They're like, well, I didn't beat your ass. I wouldn't have done that to you. but you chased the guy that all the other girls wanted because he had a little bit of money, or maybe he was some rapper or whatever. And they'll tell you, rappers are honest. Rappers will tell you, girl, I don't respect you. Fuck you, bitch. I'll shit on you if I could. I would shoot your kids if I, like they literally will tell you these things. And then for some reason, I never understood why women would love more of that. That only tells me that there are a lot of women that have like self-esteem issues, which I think again connects to the fatherlessness in the community. I believe that women who have good, strong fathers are not as susceptible to this fake masculinity that's being mass marketed to you through music. I think women who have strong daddies, like I talk to my girls might, they might have their little teen crushes on some of the celebrities or whatever, but they know a man of substance versus a man with no substance. They'll tell you, they'll be like, oh, he ain't nothing, or he's a bum, or whatever. They're not going to marry bums because I'm not a bum. Their biological father's not a bum. And we're solid. We went to college. We did what we were supposed to do. We didn't go to jail. Like, we're not running around saying, well, at least I ain't in jail. Well, goddamn it, you ain't supposed to be in jail. Stop that. Stop comparing yourself to the lowest common denominator. Well, at least I took care of my kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids. Like, that's what a man's supposed to do. Like, why are you setting the lowest standard and then you're jumping, like you're putting the jump rope 2 inches off the ground and you're claiming that you're a professional jump roper? You're not. Stop that. Set a standard. So I think at the end of the day, a lot of times it's about standards. Like, I really think that in general, we got to have more standards as people. I really think that's the biggest thing. You know, these people on TV, they set no standards. Everything goes. Anything can be forgiven. Any stupid thing is okay, right? And it's like you can sit here and you can watch a rapper fuck his whole life up for 30 years straight and then die from drugs and whatever the hell else was going on. And you sit there and you act like that's just some sort of sad little thing that happened because Jesus decided not to bless him that day. And it's like, no, there is a chain of actions and activities and events that occurred that caused that to happen. You look at DMX, it starts with his father. Again, fatherhood matters. So DMX's father did not want him. That was his first curse. His father wanted his mother to abort him. And then his mother threw him away and took him down to a boys' home. And then next thing you know, he's into all kinds of other stuff. Right. So what I'm saying to you is that you got to connect the dots. Your culture is poisoned. Your culture has been destroyed. A lot of it has. And there's very little that's healthy in terms of the way black men and black women are trained to engage with each other. So I encourage you to avoid it. I encourage you to walk away from it all. So I got to go. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll be back a little bit later. And next time I really will answer more questions. You know what? Let me stop. Let me stay on for a couple more minutes. I will answer rapid fire, answer as many questions as I can because I feel bad. We went on this whole relationship tangent, and I hope some of it was helpful. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you think I'm stupid, but it's okay if you do. All right, because just know I don't give a fuck. All right, so let's see. Chris said, if she's fine as fuck, are you gonna let her be crappy to you? No. I won't. I would. I guess the only way you could let that slide if someone's treating you badly is if they if you just don't care and don't take it personal. How does your wife handle your limited time? She's busy too. That's another thing about knowledge of self. She has her own career. She's works her butt off. So she's up there working. I'm working. And then what happens is we get together in the morning. We get together for lunch and we get together at night for dinner. So we see each other a lot. We also go run. And whenever we go running, that's when we get a chance to talk one-on-one. It's about knowing your partner's love language. So her love language is she likes to have that one-on-one time. So that means no distractions, no phones, no nothing. So running is my chance to do that. And it's my chance to also do something that I wanted to do for my health and actually lose weight. So it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. Why are people so ignorant to your marriage with your wife? You put an I. I think that it's jealousy, honestly. Like I said, you'll never have a hater that's doing better than you. So unfortunately, a lot of these guys, either they're younger and they don't understand yet. If you're under 30, I totally forgive it. Like, I mean, I was dumb when I was 28 years old too. But if you're old, the guys that are like 35 and up, it's probably a reflection of like jealousy or maybe just bad culture. Like a lot of guys that talk like that, either they hate their mother or they had something horrible happen to them with a baby's mama. So they've decided somehow to join this legion of men that have decided to make it their life to destroy and attack black women. And so, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. Let's see here. Why are you so into your business with your marriage? Because I believe deeply in black love, and I believe that it's important to carry the flag of the things that you believe in. The more I study wealth, the more I learned that Black wealth gets destroyed because Black relationships are so bad. The lowest net worth in America is that of a single Black mother. Did you know that? And right there with her is the Black father who's got babies mamas everywhere. Like, anybody know guys who have a bunch of babies mamas and the child support so high that they can't pay it, so they have to go underground to keep their check from getting garnished because they can't afford to pay all the child support? These are the things that are destroying your Black wealth. That plus student loans. Those are two of the major areas that are killing your wealth. If you just have better families and you stop giving white people all your money to go to these universities that are preparing you for mediocre jobs, then Black wealth will go up by a couple $1 trillion within one generation. Let's see here. It was helpful, Doc. Okay, cool. I'm glad I can help you, Jay. Thank you for the kind words. Black family as a garden speaks volume. Yes. Yeah. You can't poison your women and crap on them and think that that's going to create a stronger community. It doesn't work that way. Let's see here. Come on, man. You're using street people words. You got knowledge yourself. That's true, but I'm a human being first. I didn't know these were street words, but that's what I say. That's just me. I can't apologize for that. This culture has shown us how to be selfish and arrogant. Yeah, I've never been a fan for any of that. How long do you think crypto will work? I think crypto's here for good. I think that blockchain is definitely here for good. I think that what's going to happen with crypto, though, is some of the cryptos will disappear. I do believe that. What is a book you recommended on systems? It's called Traction. It's really good for delegation of systems. Boy says, if the consumer doesn't accept the seller's price, then the seller would have to either change their price or sit on the shelf. True or false? Yeah, that's it. Either accept the price, sit on the shelf, or improve the quality of your product to make it worth the price you're asking for. But then you might also just find a better market, because sometimes you might have everything to offer, but you might be offering it to the wrong people. So like even where you search for a mate matters. I didn't want to be with a girl who wanted to go to the club every Friday because I didn't go to the club. I was studying. So you know where I met Alicia? I met her in the library. Right? I wanted to meet women in the library. I didn't want to meet women in the club. So sometimes if you're meeting the wrong kind of people, or they won't accept your price, or you don't match the price they're offering, you might be going to the wrong market. You probably need to go find a better space where you can find people that are more like you. So like, for example, we have events, throughout the year, and we're going to have more this year now that COVID's over. I think that going to our events is a great way to meet quality men and quality women. At least that's what I did. I mean, I wasn't going around hunting for women in my events because I can't do that. Right. It would get me in a lot of trouble. But believe me, when I was single, I knew my rights as a single man, and I would meet gorgeous women who would come up to me and talk to me, but they would already be vetted. Like, I'd already know what you're all about. Like, the fact that you're even here tells me that we probably have something in common. We're both pro-Black. We're into the Black nationalist building kind of thing. Now, at that point, I need to know if you're smart. Are you crazy? Like, what kind of person are you? So what happened when I was single was, I didn't want to go out and get into too many situations. But what I would do is I would meet women, and I would always become friends with them first. I would get to know them first to just see what kind of person they were. And I would observe. The more interested I became, the more I would kind of watch everything. Why? And that's the thing. People, a smart, strategic person, they're going to watch what you post on social media. They're going to watch how you carry yourself in every context to say, okay, can I visualize this person being in my space? You don't just jump out there just because she's cute. Like, that's a great way to get to like destroy everything. So don't do that. Take your time. Like, get to know people. Like, that's just, at least if you want to like create something and build something. But if you don't care, then what can I say? All right. So Danny, do you have knowledge yourself? You have knowledge what yourself consists of. I'm sorry. You got to ask that question again, brother. I don't totally get it. That's exactly. Okay. Can't read that. I'm looking for a question. Much respect, Doc, and congrats on your marriage. Thank you, Teddy. So when you got married, does that make you smart? That makes you not crazy? No, I think getting married is a personal decision. I'm not here to tell everybody to get married. I'm not telling you to do that at all. I'm here to tell you to decide to do the things that are going to work for you based on your goals. And remember, I got married at 49. So it's not like I got married when I was in my 20s or something. So, I had my own hesitance about marriage for a really long time, because I wasn't going to get married in a weird situation, or one that was going to
caused me to distract too heavily from what I was trying to do. Do you recommend getting a prenup? Yes, I do. We have a prenup. And what you want is, if you have something to lose, you're better off hooking up with people that also have something to lose. The more money you have, the more you're going to attract people that have no money, because they want to be next to you, because you might be their come up. So the best way for a man or woman who has resources to protect the resources, in my view, is to, basically, connect with people that have resources of their own. So when I signed the prenup with Alicia, it wasn't like I had to go into like, oh, you don't love me because you asking me to sign a prenup. We didn't even have that conversation. It was like, what do you think about a prenup? Yeah, I want one. Okay, sounds good. Let's get it done. That's it. Because she got shit, I got shit. We just want to keep our shit. And that's also a personality trait thing too, right? You want somebody who's just going to be fair with you. Like that fairness is important. So there's some people who are vindictive, who just try to take what you have and destroy it just because they're mad at you. And then there's some people who just want you to go. Just get the fuck out. Just leave. And that's okay. Like, I'd rather have that second category than the first. So I'm not saying that I'm going to be married forever. I hope I am. I plan to be. I plan to death do you part and all that stuff. But I'm a realist. I know that life doesn't always work out that way. And so you have the prenup so that if there is a departure, it's an orderly departure. You see, managing your life isn't just about creating and maintaining healthy relationships. It's also about maintaining and creating healthy departures. When you decide that it's over and you terminate, you don't want it to terminate in a way where the whole building burns down. You want it to terminate peacefully so that everybody can remain as whole as possible and can minimize the damage and move on. What is the worst, to meet a woman online or in the club? I think the club is probably the worst. Online, I think, every market has its own benefits and downside. So the club, the benefit is that you're there, you get to see her, you talk to her, you're looking at the person and all that. So you're getting to know them on a lot of different levels. The downside, though, is that you're kind of at the club. It's hard to have a good conversation. Like, I like to have a quality conversation with people. I'm not really just interested in what you look like. It's more so like, who are you? What kind of person are you? It's hard to find that out in the club. And also, I didn't want, if you meet somebody in the club, just know that's where you met them. So they're going to be in the club a lot. So you got to decide if that's okay with you. The upside of online is that you get a lot of options, but the downside, I think, is that because everybody you're talking to has a bunch of options just like you, just because you pick them doesn't mean they're going to pick you. So there has to be a match. So what could happen is, because I did online dating maybe 20 years ago, a long time ago, before all this. And the thing I did not like about it is that you could form a back and forth email chain with a person and really get to know them and really get to like them. And then suddenly it stops because they pick somebody else and then they're gone, right? Or you said the wrong thing, or maybe they did that, right? And I don't like that. I don't like that sort of quick termination. That's very disappointing, kind of sad. Let's see here. Let's see. Should Black Americans focus on building in America or Africa? I'm going to build in both. I think it's good to build in both. Never trust a screen. It's dehumanizing. In person in general, not necessarily the club. Online can be anyone. Yeah, you can get fished online. So I think if I was dating online now, I would try to meet the person as soon as possible in a safe environment. Like, as soon as you start to like that person, like, don't fall in love, because you might realize you fell in love with a chinchilla or something, right? You don't know what's on the other side of that computer screen, right? And so I would say, after I kind of think I like you a little bit, maybe 3 emails back and forth or whatever, then I'm like, okay, let's get together. And if you keep avoiding that, then that right there is a sign that you're not what you really pretend to be. Thoughts on ghosting? I don't know what you mean by ghosting exactly. Are you talking about just like not texting somebody back or not calling them back? I think that's life. I think that, you just kind of, sometimes people just don't want you, and it's okay. Like, you just, you can't let that affect your self-worth. You might have just been barking up the wrong tree. It doesn't mean you're not valuable. It just means that you weren't in the right situation, and the faster you can move forward, the faster you can get into a situation that really works for you. One thing I became kind of an expert at, I think I'm pretty good at it. This is why I'm okay with kind of doing like these conversations, is I became really good at finding my happiness, because I dealt with unhappiness as a teenager. I had like a depression kind of thing and all that stuff.
And so I studied like how to be happy. I studied how to find your bliss, how to find your peace. So I'm really happy. I'm really at peace with my life, and I like sharing some of this because I know that there are people who are not at peace. And I want you to have hope that you can find the peace or you can find the solutions. That's the other thing too. I'm a mathematician, so naturally I think about solutions, right? So I think you can find the solutions that will help you find your peace and find your happiness. Now, somebody asked, what about Zaza Ali? Where's she at? Zaza and I don't work together anymore. That's all I'm gonna say about that because I don't have nothing negative to say about Zaza. Top 5 cryptos you're really stuck on. My top 5 would be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. I bought some Cardano lately. If you go to drboycecrypto.com, it's drboycecrypto.com. You can see a list of the cryptos I own. XLM did really, really good for me. I really like that one. There's a lot of good cryptos out there that make money. Dogecoin's I still take it that seriously, but I did buy some Dogecoin. It's still sitting there. It ain't making no money though. Let's see here. No matter who you're dating, if you don't know them well, do a background check. Good advice. Great advice. Let's see here. Wise men get women on their financial level. Yeah, well, the thing is, if you're on a really high level, it's hard to find women that will match that level. And I will say that as I got on a higher financial level where I didn't know many people who made as much money as I did, I wasn't looking for a woman who was on my financial level. You didn't have to make, I've made millions of dollars. I didn't need somebody to make millions of dollars. I just needed you to, financially, it just helped if you kind of had your own stuff, just so that I don't end up feeling like I got another dependent or somebody that's gonna, try to unethically leech themselves onto me in the event that I decide that I want to move forward, right? So it wasn't so much about the money. If you have enough money, you can pay for stuff. Like, yeah, you want me to pay the mortgage? Yeah, I'll pay it. Sure, no problem, right? So that's not an issue. That's not really a factor. It's more so about how money changes people's behavior. When people don't have any money and they get around somebody with money and they start thinking that your money is their money, and then you say, well, my money is actually my money. It could probably feel like maybe the way a woman might feel. Women, ladies, you give a man some good sex, and then he starts thinking that that's his. Like, this is my, like, whose is it? It's mine, right? And you going along with that, but then one day you're like, this isn't yours anymore. Like, this is part of my body, not yours. But he's still acting like it's his, right? You know what that leads to? Like, that's bad, right? That's a violation, right? Well, for men, I think, or even any person that has assets, it's the same thing. Like if I have something and I'm with you and I share that with you, I'll share generously, but don't think that this is all yours. This is not all yours, right? And if this didn't work out, like, at least this was my thinking as a single man. If this doesn't work out and I move on, this is mine. Like, take yours. You go take. I'm not gonna take nothing from you, but so you just don't take nothing from me. And that becomes your problem. That's why. So that's why it does help if she's got something of her own, or your partner. I'm not gonna say she, because some of y'all women meet, have more money than most of the men you meet. So I think as long as he's got something to kind of keep him busy, something that's kind of, that he's kind of done on his own, and he's not living off of you. That is important. Like Jill Scott, I think, got caught in that, where she tried to marry a guy that had nothing going on financially. So she decides, oh, I just want to move on from this. Good luck, have a nice life. And he's like, no, you come back. Mary J. Blige went through that. Her husband was like, I need alimony, I need spousal support, whatever it is. Who was the other one? Sherry Shepherd went through that, right? And I personally think that that you got to kind of process that, but also it does come down to integrity too. Just watching how a person moves and how they deal with other people in general tells you how fair or unfair they're going to be in the event that things don't work out. So don't just watch how people are when they're nice to you. Watch how they fight. Do they fight unfairly, or are they ethical in general? Let them tell you about their worst enemy and see how they talk about their worst enemy, because that will tell you how they're going to treat you when you become their worst enemy, if that ever happens. Let's see here. You never want Mike Tyson, Robin Givens situation. No, you don't. Should blacks start their own city in Africa? Sure, why not? I think it's a good idea. I think it's doable. To start a business, should you have excellent credit? No, you don't have to have excellent credit. I didn't have excellent credit. My credit was all messed up when I started my business. It's good now, but back then it was terrible. But that was my plan. It was like, I'm not worried about credit. I just need my cash so I can make this thing work. And then I was like, when it starts working, all is forgiven if you have money. Like if you go back and you say, yeah, I know I owed you this money for 5 years. Here's your reparations check. I'll give you 50 cents on the dollar or whatever. Then they'll take all that crap off your credit. And that's exactly what I did. I got together my accountant and I said, let's go through the credit report one by one. Let's chop down and negotiate with each individual creditor and get this crap knocked off. And we did. And my credit score shot up and everything was fine. So, but then by that time, I didn't even need credit, really. I was able to buy the stuff I wanted to buy. So it was fine. Let's see here. Mary J had no business marrying that dude. Yeah. Well, people get married just for love. And I'm not a believer in that completely. I think love is important, but I think that there's more to factor in besides love. And I think you have to be strategic and thoughtful about, the consequences of every choice you make. Would you share an online store over a physical store? Yeah, because online is cheaper. If we start our own city in Africa, where would we start? I like Ghana. Should you buy stuff with credit or cash? I'm a fan of cash, but I do get credit sometimes. Yeah, we just bought a car and we did borrow some money for the car. And it was just kind of to like borrow it and I'm going to pay it off really fast to kind of get the credit score where we want, because we actually want to buy some more property and stuff like that. Let's see. Africa has its own problems. Do go to Africa thinking about yourself. Yeah, Africa has problems, and so does every country. I like Africa. Doctor, please tell me, what should my family do? My brother's an alcoholic. Thank you, sir. I would encourage him to get help. And if he doesn't want to get help, then I think you have to set clear boundaries about what you will and will not tolerate. And I really hate what I'm watching Snowfall, right now. And I really hate what drugs and alcohol did to our community. It just sickens me. It makes me angry. It makes me so mad how many little children didn't get what they needed from their parents because of drugs and alcohol. And that's why I have very little patience for that. There was that guy, the Columbia professor, Carl Hart, that was out, talking about how he snorts cocaine and uses heroin and uses crystal meth to relax or whatever. And they reached out and they said, hey, would you like to have Dr. Hart on your podcast? I said, I can't do it. Because I can't be unbiased. Because I've seen drugs ruin too many people. And to this day, that's why I don't drink. I don't judge people about what they do. I don't. But it's just like, I just wish we could just get rid of that shit forever, because I think it's terrible. It just, I've rarely seen anything good come of that. I've seen women get raped because they were drunk. I've seen guys go and do things they wouldn't normally do because they were drunk. Go to the club and shoot somebody and end up in prison for 80 years because they were drunk. And I don't know why everybody thinks that's an extremist point of view, but I think it's logical. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just my perspective, I guess. You should read his book, Carl Hart. Maybe I don't know. I don't even want anybody to convince me that drugs might be okay, because I'm sure they're wonderful. I'm sure that if I tried cocaine tomorrow, it would be like the greatest thing ever. That's why I don't try it. Like sometimes you don't want to make it that deal with the devil. Like you're just like, yeah, I know the devil. Whatever the devil's gonna say to me, I know it's gonna be good. I know it's gonna make me feel great, right? So that's not the question. The question is, what are those consequences on the other side of that whole conversation? Like if you're going to bring a bunch of despair and hell to my life and cause me to be an embarrassment to my family, I don't want you around. I don't want what you're offering. I don't want a piece of any of that bliss that you're trying to offer me right now. I don't want it. Same thing is true with a woman or somebody, some pretty girl offers you some sex or whatever. Yeah, I know your sex is good. Yeah, I know all of that is great, but I don't want that in that energy. You keep that over there, because I know what also comes with that. I know the price of that commodity. I don't want to pay that price. So that's what you got to think about. It's not what you're getting; it's the price you have to pay. For me, when it comes to drugs, the price is way too high. I fuck that. I want nothing to do with any of that. Let's see. Erica says, I feel like women with high incomes get caught up in the divorce drama worse than men because they are so emotional in the beginning of the relationship. They forget to protect their assets. Yeah. I believe women are more emotional than men. I really do. Now, some of these bitchy boys online might lead us to debate that point. But I think that in general, I think men, we are a little bit different. Doesn't mean women are not, extraordinary in their own way, but emotionally, when you read about things like oxytocin in particular, look up oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding chemical. Oxytocin is what causes a mother. Think about the bond between a mother and child. Like there's no bond that's stronger. Like she has this baby, she's never met this baby, but she would die for this baby instantly. It could be the most undisciplined woman in the world who's messed up every other aspect of her life, but when it comes to that baby, she will die or kill for that baby, right? Where does that come from? Did she suddenly become this noble, committed, disciplined human being? No. It's a drug. It's oxytocin. The oxytocin was released in her brain, without which, if she had no oxytocin, she would have no bond to that child. You could take the baby away and she'd say, good riddance, take that little motherfucker and go. No, she's bonded to the child because the oxytocin is formulated. This is God's way of connecting that mother-child bond that's incredibly strong, that cannot be broken. That's why crack was such a scary thing, because crack was one of the few things that could break the bond between mother and child. Like that's really rare. So oxytocin doesn't just it's not just in women, it's also in men. Men have fewer receptors, from what I understand. We don't absorb the oxytocin as much as women. Also, testosterone, which men have a lot more of, is a neutralizer of oxytocin. So that can make it harder for us to form the same level of bond in a relationship. It doesn't mean it's always true, but that's what I've read, right? Because I read a whole book, because I didn't understand love. I was really curious about it a long time, but 20 years ago, and I was like, why do people act like crackheads when their relationships end? Like, why are they going crazy? Like, what's going on in their brain? And that's when I read about this. So here's the other thing about oxytocin. This is why ladies have to be really careful. This is why I really recommend women be thoughtful about who you sleep with, what guys you allow near you, that you allow to touch you. Is that when women get touched or they have sex, especially if the sex is good, the oxytocin just spikes in their brain. Like the oxytocin levels just go through the roof. During an orgasm, it's like kaboom. And that's why, you can have sex with this guy and he ain't shit. He's like toxic. He's worthless. He's broken your heart 50 times or whatever, or he's going to, but you don't care. You're literally high. And next thing you know, you're washing his dirty drawers. You gave him the key to your car. You let him come in and out of your apartment. You let him come in and out of your body whenever he wants to. And it's just chasing that orgasm. And now, I'm not saying that that's bad. I mean, everybody knows what an orgasm is and that it feels good. I'm not judging that. What I'm saying is that powerful bond, that powerful amount of power that you give to that other person, you can't give that power to everybody. You can't give that power to just anybody. Like, I'm gonna really vet you carefully before I allow you to have that level of power over me. Because I know that once that oxytocin kicks in, like especially if I'm a woman. Now, as men too, we got our own little things that trap us in. So don't get me wrong, we got our honeypots that pull us in. But I'm talking about women now. So if I'm talking to my daughters about sex, I don't talk about like, oh, sex is bad, don't do it, and the Bible, the Jesus. We don't do all that. It's just more like, you do know that first and foremost, that sex is where human beings come from. Babies come from sex. Like life is created. So there's nothing more powerful, more important than the experience of two human beings merging, the act of creating another human being. Like that's pretty amazing. And also that man will have power over you the way a drug pusher has power over a drug addict. So that oxytocin becomes the drug and he becomes the pusher. He's the guy who, by just merely the words that come out of his mouth, or the way he touches you, or him being there or not being there, can make the difference between heaven and hell for you. That's a lot of power to give to another person. And some men don't respect that power. Some men will abuse that power. When guys run around talking about, I'll be pimping these hoes, that type of language that comes into the music, that what they're saying is that when she gives me that power, because her daddy never talked to her about this, she gives me that power that a pusher has over a drug addict. I use that power to do whatever I want. Some guys are flimsy with that power. Some guys cannot be relied on. They're not going to, you hand them your heart, they're not going to trust it. They're going to spit on it, shit on it, chop it in little pieces and throw it in the toilet. And then next thing you know, you're ruined for the next person that comes along because you can't trust anymore because this last man really destroyed you, right? So I personally just think overall, you might want to think about that a little bit and really value like just what you're offering, that power you're giving that man and give it to the right guy. And I don't think, going on 3 dates with him is enough time to know if he's trustworthy enough for you to give him that level of power. A lot of the reason that I hear these men online that are saying you should never marry a black woman or marry a single mother or what's wrong with you, whatever, you're simping if you show love to a woman, is because they kind of know that now, things like sex and whatever have been cheapened so much that it's kind of become this interesting like type of hookup culture. and I don't know how people get by with this. I mean, what's probably happening is behind the scenes, there's a lot of people that are going to the doctor and finding out that they have, all kinds of STDs. HIV is all over Atlanta, by the way, but it's all over the country, really. And because you can't really sleep with that many people and not have something happen, right? Or you have, if you have a guy that has a bunch of kids with a bunch of women, what I would know about a guy like that is he's probably good at sex, right? Which means that he's very good at getting control over women because his dick gives him a certain type of power. And also he's probably had a lot of unprotected sex, which means that man is probably coming into your life with STDs. A lot of these individuals do not get tested like for the diseases, so they don't think they have it. So if you ask them, do you have any STDs? He's gonna be like, no, I ain't got nothing, because he's never been tested, right? But he's leaning on like this belief, like I'm clean. Of course I'm clean because I'm handsome, right? and I think that a person who's being strategic about their life will kind of still enjoy your life, like live your life. Like I don't think anybody could tell you not to do that, but you can't just follow the crowd. Like you can't think that, well, because everybody else is doing it, it must be okay. I think that's the part that I don't like is when you say, well, if everyone else is doing it, then it must be okay. No, it's not okay. They're just not telling you about the other side of that. Like it's like trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? You see that the Joneses have a new car and fancy furniture, and their kids are wearing designer clothes, and you're like, gosh, I got to be like the Joneses. I got to get my kids in a new car, in a fancy, have them wearing fancy clothes and whatever. And you don't understand that the Joneses are about to go bankrupt. Like they're literally about to go, like their finances are all fucked all the way up, but they're never going to tell you that. They're never going to tell you that their house is about to get repossessed. They're never going to tell you that they have more debt that they can't, that they can never repay. They will never tell you that they are in a big ball of financial stress where they are doing all kinds of unbelievably embarrassing things to make money to get by. All they're going to do is show you the fancy car and the designer clothes, and you're going to think that that's all there is to it. So just know that a lot of life happens behind closed doors, and you have to be smart enough to see that. So anyway, all right, let's see here. Chris, I'm not interested in debating. There's a reason why this subject is a problem in our community. Yeah, I agree. Question: do you believe the current manosphere? Let me see. Do you believe the current manosphere narrative is helping or hurting men? Do you believe, does it have any chances of becoming mainstream? I don't know everything about the manosphere. I've seen a little bit of it. Sometimes some of it, is a little bit interesting. It's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't how I was taught to be a man. Like, but some of it is okay though. Some of it is the fact that men don't feel listened to. I think that you should, if you really want to understand men, I would observe without judgment some of what the men are saying. Like you can, I think it's smart to listen to like a Kevin Samuels and kind of figure out like, why do people listen to what he's saying? Why do they gravitate toward it so much? So you can at least kind of understand what's going on. Because not all of it's bad and not all of it is driven by something negative. I think some of it's driven by the fact that black men are not used to being listened to. And I think that's okay. But the thing that the men who are engaged in this have to kind of be careful about is you don't want them to turn you into a bunch of black male feminists. They turn the men into black male radical feminists. And what I mean by that is that when you look at feminism, you've got some women that are feminists because they legitimately understand that, that some men have engaged in intolerable behavior that is entirely unacceptable, and they want to stand up for that. They're looking for fairness. They're looking to be treated well, and that's it. But then you got some feminists that just hate men. You got some feminists that are just fucking crazy. You got some feminists that go all the way extreme, like talking about, well, if I have a period, I shouldn't wear a tampon. I should just let the blood leak down my leg. And if you don't agree with that, then something's wrong with you, right? Those are extremists, right? So the same thing is true in the manosphere. You got some men that are there because they're like, yeah, like I'm tired of this, of like people telling me like that who I am as a man is not good enough, or people doing the Derek Jackson commentary, like men are always messed up and that's it. But then you got some men who just are way on that other extreme, who maybe are the guys who will go and beat a woman's ass and then explain to you why it's her fault that he beat her ass. Or maybe it's a man who hates his mama. He was raised by a mama and his daddy wasn't there, so he's pissed off at his mama, so he thinks all women ain't shit. Or maybe or maybe he was babied by his mama. His mama made him think his shit didn't stink. So he thinks that the problems in his life all root from women. He has no accountability, right? So I think it's important to sort through those men. That's what I'm saying. I think it's important to kind of go and sort and break those men out. And then maybe you have some men in there that are just gay men that are competing with women that are just mad because they don't have a vagina. And that's a real thing too. Because all this happens in the feminist movement. If you look at the extreme, I'm talking about the extreme part of the feminist movement. I knew a black woman who went to a feminist conference, and she was there legitimately because she feels like women should have equal rights and all this other stuff. She said, I have never been hit on more than when I went to a feminist conference. When she went to a feminist conference, she said all the lesbians were like all over her. And she was telling them, like, I didn't come to this conference to be chased down and harassed, like I would if I was at a men's convention. Like, what the hell? So in that extreme feminist camp, you might have lesbians that are like, fuck men. Like, men don't matter. Let's get rid of them all. Let's just put them all on one island so we can nuke the island, and then there'll be no men. All the pussy will belong to us. And so in that space, in that manosphere, you do have some gay guys in there. You have some real bitchiness, real bitchy feminine behavior kind of happening there. When you've got some men in there who are like, a woman ain't never done nothing good for nobody. Women are bad, period. Right. And I think it's important for smart people to kind of know the difference. So that's why, like here, I like to talk to intelligent black people. Like, I don't really want the whole manosphere to be cheering me on everything I do. Yeah, Boyce, yeah. Like, I don't want that. No, I want you to sometimes be like, yeah, I get that. And then sometimes I want you to go, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I like that better, as opposed to this whole like rah follow the crowd mindset. I'm not built that way. That's not of interest to me. Let's see here. So let's see. Cheddarell says, why do you like the simp? Sorry, I don't know what you mean by that. Let's see. Kenyatta, I never saw a feminist give women advice that builds strong, balanced, cohesive relationships. Yeah, I think that's a problem. That's a real big problem. The gender war is really our enemy. It's an enemy to all black people that want to build families. The gender war is not built on the kind of humility necessary to form a healthy, balanced relationship with anybody. One thing I definitely learned about trying to maintain a relationship is you cannot be all caught up in me and I and my and me and how I feel and what I want and what I'm going to do. Like, you get into that. What happens is that you get to the point where you can't cooperate with another person because you're constantly competing with them. So I'm not a real advocate of men that are constantly competing with women. And I'm not a real advocate of women who are competing with men. The women that I love the most are the women who want to cooperate with men. The women who say, look, I got standards. You can't be treating me any old kind of way. But if you come through for me, I'm really going to come through for you. And sometimes I'm going to come through for you, even when you don't come through for me, because that's how I'm built. I'm built that way. My parents built me like that. Right. And I like the men who say, you know what, this is our community. We have a responsibility for even some of the black people we're not related to. And so when I find a woman, I'm gonna treat her well. I'm also going to protect my children and her children if that's what the situation is. And even when you're not coming through for me all the time, I'm gonna still come through for you. But more importantly, though, I still have standards, which means I need a quality woman to come through for me, and then I'll be the best that I can be. So I think that's if I was either male or female looking for a partner, I would look for quality in that way. Are you going to come through for me? Are you a person that is built a certain way? If you're built, on a bunch of broken, dysfunctional stuff, or you want me to act like a thug so you can respect me, or you decide that you want to undermine me at every available turn and constantly compete with me, I don't want to be a part of that. No, I want us to love each other. Like, how about that? How about we compete in one area? Like, who can love the hell out of the other person the most? Like, how can I really love the shit out of you, but while still expecting you to reciprocate, so that we can just have a big ball of love, and that forms like a cocoon. It incubates you from all the toxicity that exists in the black community. Because if you go and you look around in our community, you look at some of the stuff that's popping in the media, you're not seeing healthy, happy families. You're not seeing well functioning, protected, loved children. You're seeing a bunch of chaos. When people are asking me about that poor little girl, that 15-year-old girl that got shot after she's stabbing another girl, right? Which that right there is a whole nother conversation, right? I'm not going to debate that. But somebody asked me, like, so what do you think about the police shooting her? Like, was that right? And I said, I don't know. I said, I'm not going to really talk about that because it's very sensitive for people. But I can tell you this. When we had a situation in our neighborhood where the boys and the girls got into it, and they were about that age, you know what happened? I got together with another dad in the neighborhood, and we went down and we shut that shit down. We regulated that. We talked to the boys, and we did not have to threaten them, but we let them know you do not ever put your hands on the girl. But we talked to the girls, and their mothers did too, and let them know, like, you don't go put your hand on a boy. You don't do none of that. Like, calm your ass down, right? We regulated. We ran our own community. We did not need fucking police coming through shooting the kids because the shit done got so far out of hand that one of the kids is trying to stab the other. That don't happen in our neighborhood. And now, again, maybe y'all think it's because you live in a cushy suburban neighborhood. Yeah, but I grew up poorer than you. Like, I know what it's like to be poor. I just wanted to get out of that shit. I don't want to be around dysfunction. Nobody wants to live in that stuff. So I personally think that fathers are so important. And I really think you need the men to do things the women cannot do. There are things that women can do that men can't do. There are things that men can do women can't do. And fathers are the ones who regulate the community. And when there are no fathers, that's when you start seeing all this chaos. And that's also where a big part of the extreme feminism comes from. And that's also where a big part of this manosphere comes from. It comes from not having fathers. A lot of the guys in the manosphere never had a dad, so they maybe look to a Kevin Samuels because he's the father they never had. And that's fine. I don't totally disagree with everything Kevin Samuels says. Because Kevin's he's not a stupid guy. I mean, some of the stuff he says is right on point. Some of it is a little bit harsh. I'll admit that. But it's like some of these guys they don't know what to do. So instead of actually doing what innately defines manhood based on how they were raised on a day-to-day basis, they simulate what they think manhood is, right? So they grow up with a false idea, for example, that if you're a real man, you pimping these hoes. You don't let no hoe. You don't tell no girl you love her. You don't tell no hoe you whatever, right? And that's just not true. I mean, that manhood is more nuanced than that. Manhood is more balanced than that. Manhood means that, yeah, I mean, you're not gonna get played by just anybody, but if you find a woman that is a critical element to the functioning and the survival of your family legacy and empire, you respect her for the queen that she is. You give her queen status. Nobody messes with the queen. Everybody ain't the queen, but the queen is the queen. And I think that we should give women that opportunity. The thing I hate the most is when I see a nice guy get abused by a broken woman, and I hate seeing queen level women getting treated poorly by men who were never taught to be men. Like I hate that. It bothers me. So anyway, let's see here. A couple more questions. I'm gonna go. Samuels is right about a lot, but not everything. Yeah, nobody's right about everything, and he has a right to speak. I believe in freedom of speech. Let's see. Somebody said, "What do you think of Kevin Samuels saying he slept with 35 women in one college semester?" I think you do something like that, you better go down to the hospital and get checked for diseases, because that's a lot of women to sleep with in one semester. No disrespect, but it's true. That's just me giving you my honest perspective. Let's see here. Why is Michi S going hard on you? Because she used to work for me. She violated her contract, and I don't talk to her anymore, so she's mad. Guide your children. Don't let media and their friends guide them. Absolutely not. Ben stopped listening to Kevin Samuels. I just feel a lot of negative energy coming from his platform. Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff with Kevin. I'm not going to speculate on it too much. I know Vicky Dillard had a lot to say about it, so I'll let you go check out her video on it. Women need to stop watching reality TV shows that give them unrealistic expectations. That is true. I agree 100%. You're not looking for a wife. You're looking for the matriarch for your lineage. Yeah, matriarchs are important. The matriarch matters, just like the patriarch matters. Let's see here. I don't like this word control. I prefer guidance. There you go. Okay, good idea. Men should regulate their own communities. Yeah, I think men are important. I don't know whoever told y'all fathers don't matter. Anybody who convinces you the fathers don't matter they don't really want your family to survive or to prosper. They want you to fail. Let's see. What do fathers really want for Father's Day? I don't know. I have no idea. Do you think Kwame Brown is moving wisely? I haven't followed Kwame's platform. I didn't even watch the video he did about me. I think it was misguided. I think Kwame didn't interpret properly what I was trying to say, but maybe he was feeling extra paranoid. So I kind of forgive him for that. But and since then people have reached out to him and said, come on, man, like why are you attacking Boyce? Like Boyce was not attacking you. And I'm glad they did that. But I think Kwame is doing what he does, and he does it well, and people are listening to him, and I hope he uses his power in a responsible way. And I don't, I think, ultimately I would like to see all of that kind of fold into things that are real. Like I'd like to, maybe we can raise money to build schools, or build businesses in the Black community, things like that. And I think he does that already to some extent. I don't know exactly everything he does, but I think Kwame's cool. I don't have an issue with him, but I don't watch his podcast. Let's see. I'm seeing most Black men don't stand for what is right. You know what, Nelly? That I don't know if that's a completely fair statement, because I know a lot of good guys that do stand for what's right. So I wouldn't put that on Black men or even most Black men. You have a segment that is a little problematic, but again, we're in a culture war. So I'm at war with anything that is presenting a problematic image of the Black man. The white man and white supremacy created this image of the Black man that was that kind of lays you out as this lazy, stupid, unaccountable pleasure seeker, like an irresponsible, like I slept, like this that statement, like I slept with 35 women in one semester. What the fuck is that, man? What do you are we bragging now? Like, come on, man. Like, that's like, I'm not judging, but shit, that's let me be quiet. So I personally think that we got to kind of reassess who told us who we are. I don't know how anybody could do something like that and have it end well. It doesn't end well, especially if that's what you continue to do for the rest of your life. But that's just my 2 cents. Are you going to be involved in any new Black Wall Street projects? Well, we got, stuff at the Black Business School and stuff, but that's it. But not anything in particular. But I do know Demario Solomon Simmons. I know he's doing great work out there in Tulsa. We need to love each other. I love Black men. I'm a Black woman. Absolutely. No disrespect, but why do you feel the need to stress to misguided men that you're not a simp? I'm not really. That's a good question, Bridget. It's not so much I'm really talking to them. I am talking to those of them that are listening, that really want to kind of get another view on manhood, because I'm very comfortable in my manhood. I was raised by a man. I've achieved a lot in my life, so if manhood is measured by what you actually do, that's why I measure manhood by what you can accomplish. Like, you can talk all day, but talking don't mean nothing. What did you actually accomplish, right? So I've accomplished a lot, right? So as a man who could say, like, yeah, I'm a man, I did, like, you money, power, I did all that, right? I kind of want to lay out like a different framework, especially for the younger guys that are really thinking that this makes sense, that this is a good long-term strategy for your life. But for those who are not in that space, I'm talking to the people that maybe hear that and are kind of like, maybe that is simple. Maybe I shouldn't, marry my girlfriend. Maybe I shouldn't show love and respect to the woman that I'm with, because I don't want to be seen as a simp. I want to say to them, like, no, you're not a simp. Like, you're a simp if you run around playing women and fooling them and fucking their lives up, like giving them diseases and shit and abandoning kids. That's a fucking simp. So to me, it's like, no, like, what the hell, man? Like, you're so sick that you literally are unhappy about the creation of a Black family. Do you know what kind of a Klansman that makes you? That makes you like, that's what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden said, we want to destroy Black families, so let's send all the daddies to prison. Like, so no, I think it has to be confronted, though. I think it has to be directly challenged to kind of say, come on, man, you got this all wrong, brother. Like, this is insanity. Most of y'all, even most of the guys in the manosphere, wouldn't have become who they were if it wasn't for some football coach who came along and took them under their wing. Even though that wasn't their son, he said, hey, I'm gonna treat you like a son. You can come to my house for dinner. I'm gonna take care of you. Like, what if somebody's like, oh, you being a simp, you taking care of these kids, it ain't yours. Why you spend money on that little nigga? What's wrong with you? Right? Like that was, like, no, like men like that should be applauded. The men that step up for the kids that don't have a father are, in my view, they're heroes. They're the biggest heroes that there are. Without my father stepping up for me, I would not have been the man that I am. So let me see here. You're a simp if she doesn't respect or commit to you. But yeah, I think women are probably better judges of that anyway, because I think, I don't know who exactly gets to decide if a man is a simp or not. But but again, like, what if you're not a simp? What qualities do you possess that allow you to make the argument that you're not? Like, what do you do? Because you fought 47 women in a couple of weeks? No, that makes you a disease-infected kind of man that nobody wants to be with anyway. So what is it that you like? Okay, so simp, like, to me, when I think of simp, I think about manhood, right? maybe I'm connecting two things that are not related. I don't know. But if you say you're a man, what makes you a man? What did you do? Because maleness and male strength is about competition. Where did you compete in your life where you can say, I came out on top? I was the smartest kid in class. I made the most money. I won an NBA. I won the NBA championship. Like, what did you do? Right. And that's the thing that makes this space different. I believe I'm gonna brag about the B1 space is that I'm not interested in talk. I don't want to hear you tell me about what you gonna do or what you could have did or what you think you are. Show me your actions. Your actions speak louder than your words. And because one of the things that happened, I think it came from entertainment and the blaxploitation movies and all that, is you got a lot of fast talking Negroes that'll talk all day about what they can do and who they are, and I'm this and I'm that and I'm pimping and I'm this, and it's like, well, what did you actually accomplish? Because manhood to me is measured by accomplishments. What have you achieved? What have you built? You have you ain't got no family. You ain't built that. You ain't got no business. You ain't built that. You know, you're going to work every day tickling on a white man's balls so you can pay your bills. That would probably make you a little bit of a simp. Don't you agree? But I'm not gonna make fun of you. I'm not gonna make fun of the fact that, I mean, you call me a simp, but I'm not gonna make fun of the fact that you got to tickle a white man's balls to get your check every week. But I'm trying to figure out, in what area have you met the qualifications of what makes you a man? What have you done? Right? Because you certainly made it clear that you have no respect for the women in your community. Like, so it's not like there's some woman that's gonna say, yeah, that's a man right there. That's my where are your qualifications? You know, I got receipts on mine. I got credentials, but I'm 49. I get it. I've had time, right? I got receipts. I can show you. I can go down the list. Okay, in 2004 I did this. In 2007 I accomplished that. Right? I got awards. I got degrees. I got it. I got some money. Right? I can give you a resume. What fucking resume can you give me that tells me that you've even earned the right for me to call you a man? Because you know that in a lot of African villages, if you ain't got a family, and you're supposedly a man because you think you're a man because you have a penis. In some African villages, if you don't have a family, they won't even listen to you. The other men will be like, "You're not a real man. Like, why would we even care about any fucking thing you have to say?" So one of the reasons that the community struggles is because the people you think are men are not men. Like, they're the opposite of men. And that's a big problem. And that's something I think we got to kind of snuff that out a little bit. Again, challenge me. You know, now I know people, now somebody says, let's see, Doc, stop trying to belittle folks to make yourself feel accomplished. No, I don't have to feel accomplished. I am accomplished, but I'm not belittling anybody. I'm only sort of speaking directly to anybody who might use that term simp, right? So you tried to belittle me, and I'm not going to belittle you. I told you I'm not going to make fun of the fact that you have to tickle a white man's balls to get your paycheck every week, right? But I am going to say, I am going to ask you, I'm going to challenge you. You challenge me, I'm going to challenge you. Show me where you have met the qualifications of manhood. And I can show you where, unfortunately, millions of our men, not to no fault of their own, have never met the qualifications of manhood. Where does that come from? It comes from white supremacy. Because Malcolm X pointed out a long time ago that the goal of America is to make sure that the black man always sees himself as a little boy or as a little girl. That's why the black men that tend to get the most opportunities are the ones who are feminine or the ones who are very childlike, who engage in childlike behavior. That's why on television, the black men that they put on TV are not the articulate ones. They're the ignorant ones. They're not the successful ones. They're the failures, not the ones who are sturdy and strong and reliable. It's the irresponsible ones. It's not the ones who are clean and sober and alert and conscious. It's the ones who are doped up and drugged out and everything else. Go watch TV and notice how often you see black men on TV that are a fucking embarrassment to the damn black community. And that Negro gets all the applause. Everybody loves him. Everybody thinks he's great. And then next thing you know, your sons are imitating these pathetic sons of bitches that they just saw on TV. And then your daughters are trying to go and make these guys into honest husbands and reliable men. And they're not ready for any of that. That all your daughter is going to get is she's going to be a single mother with another child. She got her 2 kids from the first guys, and then she moves another child in who happens to be 32 years old, and he sits in his drawers, like drinking liquor and smoking weed all day, and because he thinks that makes him a man. that literally drinking and smoking and sitting in the drawers all day makes him a man. And why are you a man? Well, because I said I'm a man. Because I got tattoos, and because I'm thugging out, and because I wear gator shoes, or because I got a nice car. None of that makes you a man. Like I'm serious. Like, I think that at the end of the day, we got to ask ourselves, like, what's the definition of a man? What does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, saying you're a man doesn't make it happen. There's a lot of people that talk and it means nothing. Talking means absolutely nothing. What makes you a man? Show me your credentials. So I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm belittling anybody. I don't mean to hurt their feelings. I know some of these little guys are very sensitive, and I don't want to hurt their feelings. They're going to get mad, probably get madder at me, but that's fine. They can keep talking. They'll keep making videos, and that's totally cool. I don't watch any of them, just so you know that, but they should. They can keep making videos. Maybe their next accomplishment could be, I have a YouTube channel that has a lot of subscribers now because I made a bunch of videos about Boyce Watkins, and every time I do a video about him, my channel subscribers go up, and that's good. Okay, good for you. That's your accomplishment. You feel better about yourself. You don't have to tickle the white man's balls every day, to make your money. I'm happy for you. I really am. So use my name as much as you want, as much as possible. But at some point, one of these guys, I think, will get will be, be interested enough to maybe come and sit down and talk to me and explain to me exactly how you think you're a man and you think men like me are not men. I just would love to have that conversation. That's it. And then maybe at that point, I can kind of respect where you're coming from. But if you're sort of using terminology that I've seen used by rappers, which were deliberately planted in your community to make your men misguided and ignorant, then I can see right through that, because I've studied this sort of thing for 25 years. Right. So I've seen the evolution of all this. Like, somebody compared me on my Instagram. My Instagram's the real Boyce Watkins, by the way. And some of y'all watching from Instagram. They did they said, Boyce, you sound like C. Dolores Tucker. And I thought that was really interesting. I thought about C. Dolores Tucker because I actually was on a podcast with Scarface and from the Ghetto Boys about 2 weeks ago after my wedding. And I remember Scarface and Ice Cube. Ice Cube is another friend of mine. They did a song where they were basically talking about the Reverend Calvin Butts and C. Dolores Tucker, and kind of fighting the backlash that was coming from people who said that when you're making music that's disrespecting women, that's promoting violence, this is bad for our community, it's going to lead us to a bad place. And I told the guy, I said, actually, that comparison would have offended me 25 years ago. I would have really been annoyed by that. I did not like C. Dolores Tucker when I was 24, 25 years old, because I thought she was just a big old hater. I said, but really, if you really look at it, to be honest with you, C. Dolores Tucker was telling the truth. She was 100% right. She didn't have the right message, right? Or she didn't bring the message in the right way. It wasn't received in the right way. But if you look at what some of this media has done in terms of how our men treat our women, not all the men, some of the men, and how we look at ourselves, it's true. It's true. You can't debate that. Right. And I love these guys, I had a lot of fun talking to Scarface, but, and on his podcast, when it comes out, I'll let you guys know, we debated that. I was kind of like, no, I think artists have a responsibility for what they say. And he said that, no, they don't. Now, Willie and I felt like they do. And that was like an interesting conversation. So I'll have that dialogue with them. I don't think we have to hate each other to have a dialogue, but I really think you got to think through. The white man did a real big number on you. He did a real big number on you. If you had stronger, more accountable men who were accountable to the women and children and really wanted to develop things and build things and all this other, and had the confidence to do that, your community could overcome its problems like overnight. Like, literally in 10 years, Black people will be right on top of the world, right? But what's slowing us down is you have a lot of baggage. So let's see here. Big Easy says a simp is a man that lets anybody walk all over them like a doormat. Okay, thank you for your donation, Big Easy. Okay, that's a good interpretation. I do think you got to have boundaries and you got to know how to stand up to people. That's for sure. I don't believe in being a bully, but I've dealt with bullies, and if you don't stand up to a bully will continue to walk all over you. And I do think that women that do come in with a lot of aggressive, almost masculine behavior toward a man, I think a man is going to respond to that in a certain way. He's not going to appreciate that. And so what I would say to women is use your natural power that God gave you. Like, God gave you a lot of feminine power that we can't replicate. Use that. Like, don't try to compete with men by being a man. That doesn't work very well. I think if you are a woman, then we can't compete with that. right? Let's see here. Why didn't you back Kwame? I backed him. I just did. I don't know much about Kwame's platform, to be honest with you. I only really paid any attention when he started talking about me, and I made that little video. But after that, I was like, okay, you know what, bro? I'm not gonna talk. I'm not gonna say nothing else because it looks like you're very sensitive right now. So I didn't mean to hurt his feelings, and to him, I apologize. I've had people reach out and try to let him know I'm not trying to be his enemy. It's just things happen. What about the terminology and even mindsets you use given to you by the same who gave the rappers theirs? Yeah, you're right. Natural lawyer. We are all screwed up as Black people. We all have our baggage. We all have our issues. And I do not take myself out of that category. Doc, what do you think about Micron technology stock, semiconductors for electric cars? Micron. I own a company called Microvision. I don't own Micron. So I don't know anything about Micron. Microvision's done pretty well. GE's done really well. That's a stock I'm going to actually double down on GE. We're going to buy some more GE. I think GE is going to do well. I think Ford's going to keep doing well. And a couple others. So let me see here. ADOS is going to remind you on 9/11, the debt is the debt, Tulsa, Oklahoma. There you go. Good. Go get the reparations. I hope that they pay it. Let's see here. I'll donate if I get my question read, but I don't see the stars button or donate button. I don't know whether, you know what? I think you got to go to the YouTube channel. If you go to drboycetv.com, that's where you can donate on YouTube. I don't think you can do it on Facebook. Let's see here. Bridget, do you think some of our children are so backward thinking that they're a lost cause? It's good to be hopeful, but I'm being realistic. I wouldn't say a lost cause. I would say maybe it's something that's going to take more time, right? Here's the thing I want you to understand about money that's really important. If you have enough economic power, you can kind of get people to do what you want them to do. And the reason, what I would compare it to is like, look at how white people control Black people. They don't argue with you. They're not going to fight with you. They're not trying to talk you into their way of thinking all the time. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't. They just tell you like, look, I have GE. It's a big corporation, and we make semiconductors and airplane engines. And if you show up at 9 a.m. to make airplane engines, then we'll pay you. If you don't show up, then we won't pay you. And what do? We show up for the job. We show up and we do exactly what they tell us to do because they have economic power and we don't, right? So I believe that when it comes to the Black community and the people that would might give people like us a hard time on certain things, I just want to position you with the tools you need so that your family within a generation will have the economic power to shape your environment into whatever you want. Think about it like energy. Like the sun is not if you take the sun and you put the sun in this room, what's going to happen in this room? If you put the sun in the middle of this room, everything's going to get hot, right? It doesn't matter how cold the room is. Everything's going to get hot, right? And things are going to melt, right? Or because the sun's energy is so powerful. The sun is not a product of its environment. The sun, everything is a product of the sun. The sun shapes its environment. And the sun is nothing but a big ball of energy. It's a big ball of power. It's powernomics, basically. Power, right? So bear with me on this example. So when you become powerful, like when you and your family are doing all these wealth techniques and you're owning assets and you're teaching your kids to start businesses, your children are going to have power. So they're going to be like the sun. So your child in 30 years is going to sit down with, some Negro-minded idiot, right, who's going to have his own worldview about all this other stuff that's completely inconsistent with everything he was raised on. And your son is just going to say, okay, well, I want to help the Black community and I want to hire Black people. So we have a factory. And if you show up at 9 o'clock for work, I will pay you. If you don't show up, I won't pay you. So you can smoke crack on your spare time or whatever it is you do. I don't even care. But if you show up, I'll pay you. If you don't show up, I won't pay you. Well, that person's going to show up and pay them because people that don't have power become slaves to the people that do. So my goal is not to save everybody. My goal is not to figure out how to get everybody to agree. My goal is not to get everybody on board. My goal is to create help create the next generation of economic power bases, economic leaders that then have the ability to shape their own environment where you can decide, what you want. Your children can decide what they want the community to look like because they'll be the ones who are sitting at tables with millionaires and billionaires making decisions. Those are the people who run the world. Those are the people who control media. Those are the people who control the educational systems. Those are the people who control the corporations. I want your children to have that power. right? Even if it's not nationwide, you can have it in a vacuum. In my business, I shape that environment. There is no white man I have to ask for permission from. There's nobody that tells me what the culture is going to be. I don't have to respond to anything or anyone if I don't want to. Me and my team that have the power, we shape our environment. And we say, in this space, this is how things are going to go. These are going to be the values. And that's what power looks like. And a lot of Black folks may not get this all the time because I don't think a lot of us know what power looks like. We think power means screaming and hollering and marching and protesting and holding hands and singing "We Shall Overcome" and praying to white Jesus and doing all these other things that literally give you no power. Most powerful people, there was a billionaire, Mike Roberts, that came in. I'm gonna tell you the Mike Roberts part, and then I'm gonna get on out of here. But Mike Roberts came in. He's a billionaire, and he said something that I thought was really funny. He said, "Rich people are loud." He said, "But wealthy people whisper." He said, "Billionaires whisper." They're not trying to convince you that their idea is the best idea. They're sitting there and they're strategizing and saying, how are we going to use our power to make these people do what we want them to do, or to shape the world into what we want it to be, to create our environment. I believe all of you can have that power. Maybe you can't be billionaires. I'm not trying to say that, but you can certainly be millionaires. That's easy. It's easy to make your family into a multimillionaire. The $5 a day investing plan alone, I'll put the URL on the screen if anybody hasn't taken a look at it. Just that $5 a day investing plan, if you stick to that religiously for the next 30 years, your children will be multimillionaires. Like your children will be in millionaire status. So that's what it is. You know, it's not that hard. The answers are out there. Don't ever listen to anybody who tells you that the answers don't exist, because those are just people that want to keep you enslaved. The greatest way for them to have more power is to get your trust. And the best way for them to get your trust is to get you filled with hopelessness. They break you down so they can build you up into the form that they want. The Marines do that. A lot of veterans are in the room. You know what I'm talking about. Military, they'll have you come to boot camp. They treat you like shit. They beat you down into nothing to where your self-esteem is gone, your confidence is gone. And then they slowly build you back up and they build you into the soldier that they want you to be. Right. So that's exactly what government does. That's what society does. They break you down. You ain't nothing but a raggedy Negro. You ain't nothing without us. Right. And then they build you up and they give you little pieces of your self-esteem back. Next thing you know, you're walking in lockstep with white supremacy because you didn't even understand what they were doing to you in the first place. So don't let people do that to you. Build your family into what you want it to be. You can control that. That is up to you. Okay. I'm going to go. Hit the thumbs up button, the allblackagenda.com, so you can get the $5 a day investing plan. And those of you that want to join the Black Stock Market program for class Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we do nothing but stocks. Like now, and this stuff is kind of fun. Like we talk about a little bit of everything, but the stock stuff in class, I only talk about stock related stuff. I don't talk about anything outside of that. So if you'd like to come to class, feel free to go to the blackstockmarketprogram.com. There's a 30-day 100% money back guarantee if you're not happy for any reason. The first month is totally free. And we meet every Tuesday for class, and you can ask me 1,000,001 investing questions. I will answer all the questions. And actually this week I'm going to talk about AMC stock and how my family, I think we've made about $7,000 off AMC stock with very careful strategic moves. So what I'm going to do this week is, among many things, is I'll show you specifically exactly what I did with AMC in case you want to take a look. All right, guys. So I'm out of here. Have a good day. And I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Peace.